The players ready in the middle. It's 109 for 3, or at least the fielders are there. I can't see any batsmen yet. And they better hurry up. And the umpire here...
They're too busy listening to the Sky at Night
He might be. He's got his arms folded, the umpire, saying, well, where are you? And I can see Stuart Law down here, sitting on the balcony, and the crowd are starting to chunter.
Here they come, here they come.
Fazzy is here. Fazzy, you haven't given up the game, have you? What's going on?
Yet. Just give it a couple of seconds and then we'll decide.
Here they come.
It's not the done thing to be rushing around. Especially when we're 90 odd for 3?
109
for 3.
109 for 3.
Actually had a decent session after a decent first day. Kraigg Brathwaite on a half century, hitting a 6, just his 4th in Test cricket.
Is that right?
It's all wonderful.
Yeah, I enjoyed his 6 as well, because it was just after being given out for the second time and reprieved.
And reprieved correctly, it has to be said.
I tell you what, as soon as that was given, from an off-spinner's perspective, I knew it wasn't out, because if it turns sharply like that, it's either going to hit you outside the line or be missing a leg. It's very, very lucky. The guy's got to be so far back on his stumps for everything to match up. But he was given out quickly, wasn't he? It was fired off. It's not Aleem Dar, is it?
Umpire Ravi was the umpire at the other end. Yeah.
Aleem Dar gives them out quick when they're out. Yep, that's fine.
Yeah,
but he's never wrong.
Right. It's the physics of the game, essentially. That if you're turning it big, if you seem to be hit in line, it's probably pitched outside off.
But it was a good 4 inches outside line as well, wasn't it?
Exactly. Well, as we said, it wasn't even close. Well, the action is about to resume, and here comes Chris Woakes, first delivery on leg stump to Kraigg Brathwaite, and he's getting going immediately on the resumption. 110 for 3. Brathwaite on to 63, showing a bit of adventure with that 6. He's up now to 64. Shai Hope, who's had quite a bit of luck as well, played and missed on a few occasions, and some looked as if he had edged through to the keeper, but he's hung on, and he's played well for his 33.
He has indeed. It's always after lunch as well. You know, whether you've had a half-decent partnership, you just want to get off and running again. That very first ball from Woakes, short of a length on the hip, exactly what the West Indies want. Especially what Brathwaite wanted, anyway.
Got a bit of afternoon sunshine with us as Woakes doesn't deliver. Maybe just put off as he approached the crease, planting the front leg, and then decided not to deliver after all. As far as being timed out, I recall one instance in a first-class match with what was then the Shell Shield in the early 1970s. A batsman by the name of Richard Gabriel was not out overnight and turned up late the next day and was timed out. Those were the days when you lived at home. You didn't. There was no team hotel or anything like that. As Woakes bowls and he's on the front foot playing it away, Shai Hope out towards cover point.
He obviously didn't have kids.
Whatever it was, it might have been a late Saturday night or whatever. He was just 17 years of age, I recall. He actually played for the West Indies a couple of one-day internationals in Australia in 1984-85. I played a few one-days, had a couple of decent seasons. And yeah, he was absent out. I don't know if it was timed out, but he was absent out, basically, because he was not out overnight and wasn't there the next morning. There's actually one that went the other way, involving Alvin Kalicharan, as Woakes bowls outside the off stump, and Hope again lets it go through to the keeper. It remains 110 for 3 in reply to England's 258, the first over after lunch. Kalicharan, 1974 against England in Trinidad, was run out by Tony Greig, the last ball of the day. He was given out, but he was walking off thinking it was the end of the day's play, and Greig threw down the stumps.
That's very unsportsmanlike.
He was given out, correctly was given out, but there was such a hue and cry, Kalicharan was reinstated the next morning.
Good.
Full-length delivery, and he's into the drive. As Hope gets a couple of runs out towards deepish cover, and that will get him moving along this afternoon. He goes up to 35, and the sun comes out once again in all its brilliance from a bit of the gloom this morning. And it's 112 for 3. Good turnout here on this Saturday at Headingley.
Yeah, of course, it happened to Ian Bell in the Test match against India at Trent Bridge, where the ball before lunch was hit out to the boundary, and they ran a couple, and then Ian Bell assumed it was lunch, just started jogging off. And Emma Stone took the ball, and he was given out, and then over lunch there was such a furore that he was reinstated. India withdrew the appeal.
Woakes bowls outside the off stump, and it's going away for 4. No, it won't. It's one of the longer areas of the boundary. Will come back for 3, you'd think. They should come back for 3. In fact, they will. It's a long throw coming in, and they're able to come back for the 3rd run. So positive start, encouraging start for the West Indies. 3 runs for Shai Hope. But yeah, we've seen some bizarre dismissals.
Well, that one with
years.
with Ian Bell, I remember at the time thinking he's got away with that because he was thinking there's a 3rd run here, and then realised, oh no, so just pretended he knew it was lunch. That's what I thought anyway. But he did get away.
Was it true that someone from the England team popped into the Indian dressing room to say, are you going to reconsider that appeal?
I think so. I think Andrew Strauss. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't trying to get a run. It was just.
Yeah, but why do you ask? As Woakes bowls outside the off stump to let it go through to the keeper, and he will continue to Kraigg Brathwaite on 64, Hope on 38, 115 for 3. Another interesting.
I think the main thing is if someone's not trying to run, then they shouldn't really be run out. There's a sportsman side, isn't there?
And I think there was a change to the rule when Dean Jones was run out in Guyana against the West Indies. 1990. He was bowled off a no ball. And he was walking off. Well, didn't realise that it was a no ball. And then when he recognised he was trying to regain his ground and he was run out, someone pulled out the stump.
See, that should be not out.
And the rule was changed subsequently that if you're walking off on the misconception that you're out, you can't be run out.
Well, when James Taylor, he's on 5 Live at the minute, he caused 99 in a one-day game in the World Cup, given out LBW, and then run out. And the umpires didn't know the rules and gave him out. He was reprieved on the LBW, but then give him run out. Umpires didn't know the rules.
From the football stand end, first delivery short and wide. Probably the first and worst ball that he's bowled all day. Anderson after an excellent spell and is greeted with a back-foot drive for 4. Short and wide and put away comfortably by Shai Hope. He goes on to 42 within 8 runs of a second Test half century, and we'll be certainly looking for a lot more. This is an encouraging start for the West Indies after lunch at 119 for 3.
It is, yeah, with the sun shining as well. It's a bit of a rarity at Headingley as well. Jimmy Anderson bowling a loose one. I think before that, what had he gone for? 10 runs from his previous 12 overs.
And almost every single delivery had menace in it. He was absolutely spot on. Picked up a couple of wickets. Bowls to Hope, and he's pushing forward off the inner portion of the bat out towards forward square leg. He got the night watchman, Devendra Bishoo, cutting at a wide one for his overnight 1 when caught behind. And then Kyle Hope taken a good catch by Joe Root to his left at second slip going down, and he went for 3. So
it was a good catch.
2 wickets going down.
What was strange about that as well, those who've got the sound on and are watching TV pictures at home, like my mum, will notice that he actually nicked the in-swinger, Hope. Normally just nick an away swinger.
Here goes Anderson, bowls and pitched up off a thick outside edge. More runs here for him, will get 4 more. Might be a bit of a false shot, but it was in essence controlled by the fact it went into ground, all along the ground between the slips and the gully. So the West Indies have added 14 runs in just about 9 deliveries on the resumption. It's a bright start for them as Hope goes on to 46 and Brathwaite is 64 at 123 for 3.
Yeah, it's unusual to nick the in-swing, you think. And what it shows is the batsman's actually picking or seemingly picking Jimmy Anderson, so he knows this is the in-swinger, but plays just a fraction too far inside the line. He's got Mahela Jayawardena out a couple of times doing exactly that.
4 slips in place as Hope pushes at the next delivery that's pitched up into the offside out towards the mid-off. You talked about your mum listening on radio. Hi mum, hopefully you're hearing us loud and clear. Are the broadcasts aligned, television and radio?
Not as much as they used to be.
Because it used to be, that's how we used to do it in the West Indies, because people enjoyed the radio commentary so much. It was perfectly aligned to the TV commentary, but that's not the same anymore.
No, I think the advent of satellites and all sorts, but it's still better on the radio, obviously.
Absolutely, no question about that. Who wouldn't want to be listening? As Anderson bowls and he's on the front foot, driving firmly, but straight out towards the mid-off, knocked down by Stuart Broad, his partner in demolishing the West Indies on that forgettable day a week ago at Edgbaston when the West Indies lost 19 wickets to lose by an innings and 209 runs.
It's still incredible, that, isn't it? Looking back,
it's just another one of those. For many people who've experienced this extremely difficult time for the West Indies, they say, well, it can't get any worse, and then it does. It can't get any worse, and then it does.
It's rock bottom. No, it's not.
as Anderson bowls to Hope, and he's looking for the single. Should have had it. In fact, they will eventually. It was so easy that they could reach almost mid-pitch before deciding to eventually go through for the run. Hope is 47, Brathwaite is 64, and the West Indies in reply to England's 258 are 124 for 3.
Yeah, good start from the West Indies. Post-lunch. I wonder what they actually had for lunch today. It looks like Jimmy had a bit too much pudding afterwards. He's a bit lethargic that first couple of overs. I'm being harsh, of course. It's just it's amazing how the break can just loosen the game. It can ease the batting team a little bit, and you can have 2 hours before lunch where runs are hard to come by and the bowlers are all over you. Just that little 40-minute break, a couple of easy boundaries afterwards, and you're away and sort of into the day. This is where England need to get right back on it, bowl their lengths again, make the ball talk, get those edges. Because at 124 for 3, only 110 behind, 134 behind. West Indies are in a very strong position at the moment. If they can turn this into a century partnership, maybe 150 partnership, that's when you start to think, hang on a minute, we're in a bit of bother here, England.
But all it takes is one ball to get you out, and that's what they've got to keep in mind. 3 slips and a gully, cover point, mid-off, mid-on, forward square leg and a long leg, as Woakes bowls outside the off stump to Hope, who lets it go through to the keeper. He's on 47. So often the breaks work the other way around, don't they? Because a lapse in concentration for the batsman, all it takes is one mistake and you're out. In this case, for the moment, it's going the way of the West Indies, but there's always that air of vulnerability about their batting that England will certainly feel. A breakthrough here, another wicket there.
Get one, get two.
The water, exactly. 2-3 becomes 4, and then at the end of it all, they might get a decent first innings lead. At the moment, the West Indies are just pulling things their way. Full length deliveries into the drive for 4. That'll take him to 50. Shai Hope. Certainly the sort of shot and the way that he's played so far will give the West Indies and their supporters here and the many following back at home a tremendous confidence as he reaches his second 50 in his 12th Test match. The West Indies 123 for 8. Hope is 51.
It's a great shot as well. Woakes over pitch and really trying to get the ball to swing. Driven firmly down the ground. Straight to mid-off, sorry. Well played, Shai Hope. That's what the West Indies need. And that partnership goes on to 93, now 94. 93 the partnership. Andrew?
93 the partnership, which is also how many minutes Shai Hope took for his second Test 50.
As Woakes bowls to Hope, and he's on the back foot, pushing it away out towards cover. Thought for a moment about the run, it's not. So it remains 128 for 3. Yes, Andrew?
72 balls and 9 fours to go with that 90, his other Test 50 in Bridgetown against Pakistan earlier this year.
And that 90 turned out to be a significant effort because the West Indies trailed on first innings against Pakistan, and in the end were able to get a decent enough second innings lead that they were able to bowl Pakistan out. Shannon Gabriel got 5 for 11, and it turned out to be an innings that really turned the course of the match, that innings of 90.
There was another Shannon Gabriel innings in that series we should talk of, isn't it?
Please don't. As he's on the back foot to the next delivery is Shai Hope, pushing it away out towards mid-off. We've talked about that more than enough. Come on, Adam, you've got to intervene here as producer. We can't go over that again.
Oh, well, just for those listeners who haven't heard it before, was it the last ball of the game?
It was the last ball of the penultimate over of the series. It was Yasir Shah bowling to Shannon Gabriel with Roston Chase unbeaten on 100 at the other end, just waiting for that last ball and then to play out the next over. Drawn match, drawn series. Short of a length, and he's pulling at this one, but mistimed out towards the mid-wicket, and there is no run. It remains 128 for 3. Tell everybody what happened after that.
And from what I've seen, Shah ran up with everyone round the bat, wasn't it? Every single fielder. And one of them must have said, I dare you, $100 if you hit this for 6. And he bowls a googly. And Shannon Gabriel could have just patted it back down the wicket, but goes for the most almighty hack and chops onto his stumps. There's a very good bit of commentary. I think it's from your good self, actually.
As I said,
why did he do that?
And I thought I'd be saying this more often during his Test match as well. 3 slips and a gully, pitched up, with the next delivery is Woakes, and he's playing it away on the onside is Shai Hope. For the moment, the West Indies are doing it pretty well. Hope on 51. With him is Brathwaite, his fellow Barbadian, on 64, 128 for 3.
I just can't imagine the dressing room that you walk back into. How do you
explain something like that?
I mean, how do you break the ice?
Because you look at these things and you analyze it over and over again, you wonder what would have happened. Did somebody say something? Actually, Yunus Khan from first slip was signalling to Yasir Shah to bowl it wide, and he bowled it wide. All Gabriel had to do was let it go by. It would have missed off stump by 2 yards.
Eyes lit up,
went for the big drive.
So Yunus Khan's basically a genius, isn't he? He's a mind-reading genius.
And that was his last moment of Test cricket. He had announced his retirement. Misbah had announced his retirement.
It reminds me of a brilliant story I know about Mervyn Hughes in Adelaide playing for Victoria. I'll tell it after this ball from Jimmy.
As he continues, looking for a better over from the football stand in. As he bowls to Brathwaite, is on the front foot, pushing it away on the onside. Forward square leg picks up. There's no run, 128 for 3.
Apparently Dean Jones, captain of Victoria, and they've had a great day with the bat. They're getting into the last half an hour. They're only about 2 down. And the normal night watchman goes to pad up. Merv Hughes has badgered Dean all day. Mate, let me do it. Night watchman, mate. Let me do it, mate. And in the end, Merv, stick your pads on. Go on then, mate. You can be night watchman. Promptly a wicket falls. He goes out. Very first ball. Caught long on.
Anderson passes umpire Ravi, bowls to Brathwaite, and again he's pushing this one away on the onside. Full length delivery. Getting right across out towards mid-on this time, and it's still 128 for 3.
So he's caught long on. Dean Jones is fuming. He's got smoke coming out of his nostrils. And as he walks in, he's ready for, how are you going to explain this? And Merv just goes past him and goes, sometimes you just get a good one first up, mate.
Well, Dean Jones is one of West Indies cricket's favourites. He actually turned the series in our favour down under not so long ago. As Anderson, as the sun comes out in all his brilliance, bowled short of a length, and he's playing it off the body, short of a length delivery away back to the square for an easy single. He goes on by 1 to 65. Hope is 51, 129 for 3. Yeah, you know the story.
I assume you're talking about a brilliant innings or something.
That changed the entire series. The West Indies were 1-0 down in the Test series. They were struggling against Australia in the Tri-Nation series, and then Dino comes up with the bright idea to tell Curtly Ambrose to remove his wristbands during a one-day match. Well, you talk about steam coming out of the ears. It was coming out of everywhere from Amby after that, and he bowled the West Indies to victory. The West Indies won the next Test match and the next, as he's on the front foot to the next delivery, is Shai Hope guiding it along the ground to Ben Stokes at gully. It remains 129 for 3. I don't think Dean Jones had too many friends in the Australian dressing room after that.
But he's now the mayor of 6 Caribbean islands.
So I gather. 129 for 3. Strange things happen in this game, and at the moment, some will say it's a strange thing happening right now after the West Indies performance in Birmingham to be 129 for 3 in reply to England's 258. So they're actually halfway there. There's a delivery that takes a leading edge, maybe a bit of glove, as he was reaching forward and just popped on him a bit, seamed away, dropped the bottom hand, and ensured that it didn't carry in the air into the slip cordon. So he remains on 51 of 78 deliveries, and Kraigg Brathwaite on 65, and the West Indies trying to ensure that they navigate James Anderson once more and try to get closer to that first innings total.
Absolutely. It's a peach that wasn't Jimmy Anderson. Some real bounce from a length.
Anderson bowls to Hope, and again an outside edge. Once more playing with soft hands is Hope to ensure the edge didn't carry into the slips, and it's picked up by Tom Westley. And with the over complete, it's been navigated again safely enough by the West Indies from their position at lunch. 109 for 3. They've added 20 runs at better than a run a minute. Brathwaite on 65. Hope 51. Almost Caribbean conditions. Bright sunshine.
Well, there we go.
Lots of blue sky, and a decent partnership being built here.
It is. It's good to see Chris Woakes back in the action for England. He's been off a long time, but you can tell he's just a bit undercooked. Bit match practice shy, because he's always been a natural swinger of the ball. The better he bowls, the more he's played, the ball swings later. He has a bit more zip. His arm isn't quite so round arm bowls from a very high point, and the ball swings away from the right-hander but very late. At the moment, it's swinging very much from the hand, so even though it's extravagant, It is from the hand, and he's being played fairly easy. Geoffrey Boycott spoke earlier. If it's swinging a lot, but swinging straight away as soon as the guy lets go of it, it's actually very easy to bat against.
Well, they're taking an eternity to start the next over, so I'll bring in. It's going to be Dan taking over. So I'm sure he's going to keep things going for the West Indies. He's actually brightly attired, like myself, and he'll keep things going, no doubt.
I'll do my best, Wazir.
It is brightly attired indeed, Dan. Half your dinner down the shirt, but apart from that, it's very brightly attired.
God, I have, haven't I? It's Woakes in for the first ball of a new over. Outside the off stump, the keeper, no one have. Unspotted that.
Chilly by the looks of it, was it?
No, it was the gravy that came. We didn't get any wetness with yesterday's
No
lunch.
moisture.
Did you notice? No moisture.
I had to do that dreadful thing you'd ask for ketchup.
Oh, yeah, you don't want to really
common
do
thing,
that. The ribeye steak and mushroom, do you? Anyway, today they had gravy, so I absolutely daubed loads of it on, and evidently half of it's gone down my shocking pink shirt.
Yeah. It'll come out in the wash.
Thank you.
Bit of vanish. There are other products available. Yeah.
Woakes in, 3 slips, gully short leg bouncer, which swings after it leaves the batsman into the gloves of Jonny Bairstow. It's down at lunch. I was greeted by the extraordinary sight of Andrew Sampson, Fazir Mohammed, and Vic Marks, all on the press conference table, which I thought it was a very surreal sight, wasn't it?
Yes, the dining room here at Headingley is also the room they use for the press conferences after play. I actually said last night, I had a bit of a slip yesterday in the queue. It was very busy. I said, I'm going to get my steak and I'm going to go and sit there in Alastair Cook's chair.
Oh, Alastair Cook's chair. Yes. In comes Woakes again, and that's driven off the back foot nicely through the offside, through extra cover. I don't know if it'll make the boundary. I think it will make the boundary, actually. It will. It didn't time it to perfection, but he got on top of the ball, pushed it along the ground. 4 more. The West Indies are going very well. They're 133 for 3. Brathwaite has 69. And after the trials and tribulations of this morning with the heavy cloud cover, suddenly it's looking easier to bat. My mind goes back to 1989 and 1993 and
89?
Australians scoring millions.
I was about to say it wasn't England scoring millions, it was 89, was it? It was Terry Alderman when he just swung everyone out for fun, didn't he?
It's the opposition, Graham.
Yes.
And here they are doing it to England again. It might be early days, but Woakes is in once more, and again, just too wide of the off stump, and Brathwaite doesn't need to play, goes through to the keeper, no run. There were a lot of runs. I mean, there was that period, wasn't there, 91-92, when they had the 2 best Headingley test matches, 2 of the best test matches you could ever wish to see. Then England were picking the likes of Steve Watkin, against Pakistan and West Indies, and Graham Gooch got those tremendous hundreds. But actually, 89, I think, and 93, the Australians scored a lot of runs here.
Marsh and Taylor at the top of the order, wasn't it?
Oh, don't. Full and onto the pads of Brathwaite, played to short mid-wicket. There's no run. Sorry, sort of shiver down the spine.
Get clammy palms. Oh, just going back to that story earlier when I said, there's Alastair Cook's chair up there on the plinth, the captain's chair. Yeah. I don't know who the chap next to me was. He was obviously from the God's Republic of Yorkshire. So we've got a Yorkshire captain now, son.
They like to remind you, don't they? Here's Woakes in again. Still those 3 slips and a gully short. And again it swings after it goes past the head of the ducking Brathwaite. End of the over, the 44th of the innings. 133 for 3. And what was the score after 20 overs, please, Andrew? Because I suspect that they've been going around 4 and over for the last 24.
They have. After 20 overs it was 32, but after 23 overs, which was the last over of Jimmy Anderson's first spell today, it was 36.
So they scored 97 runs in 21 overs.
That's right.
Which is pretty decent, isn't it?
4.5, yeah.
4.5. Have you been able to prove Swanee right about the... we were having a bit of conjecture earlier about the disparity in average between Andrew Caddick bowling in the first innings and the second innings. And I can't remember his exact figures, but it was massive, wasn't it? It was something like 40 and 24 or so.
There is a big disparity.
As Anderson is in again, and that ball's worked nicely through mid-wicket. It's a good shot by Hope. It's going to run up towards the boundary. It's being pursued, but it will not be caught. 4 more runs to Shai Hope, who has brought up his second 50. He's on 55. It's only his second 50, am I right, in Test cricket, to go with the 90 he got.
Yeah, and he's also just shared in his first 100 partnership in his 22 Test career, 22 innings career, and this one coming up with just 140 balls.
Yeah, he's playing well. This on drive he's just hit as well. He's picking Jimmy Anderson. This is the in-swinger. He's not committing on the front foot. He's playing the ball late. Therefore, he's given himself time to adjust to the swing. That was the in-swinger. Normally when Jimmy's bowling, the head of the batsman falls over to the offside because they're so ready for the away swinger. But he stood ever so still and played a glorious wide-on drive.
In again to Hope, who gets up on his toes and pushes into the offside, fielded by Moeen Ali in the covers. Now, to finish off on the Andy Caddick point, Swanee was, I was suggesting that, well, you know, the first innings and second innings, there's going to be a bit of a disparity because fewer runs are scored in the second innings to the first innings. But you're absolutely right about Anderson and Broad. The figures there are very intriguing. Andrew.
Well, Caddick firstly averaged 37 in the first innings and 20 in the second innings.
Wow. Anderson in again. 3 slips and a gully. Leaves it alone to his Hope. A little bit closer to his off stump through to the keeper. Bairstow, no run.
Anderson in the first innings averaging 27.9 and second innings 27.4.
There we go.
Broad in the first innings 28.3, 28.6 in the second innings.
Boom.
There you go. I bow.
I say, because I can understand the spinners being different first and second innings. Obviously more spin in the second innings.
Yeah.
However, in England, I don't think mine were that different in the first and second innings. In fact, I think mine might even be better in the first innings.
Oh, can we check that out? Let's check it out. That's intriguing, 'cause it shouldn't be, really.
No, it shouldn't.
Yeah. Anderson.
Well, when Jimmy and Brody getting all the wickets, so don't really get the chance to do anything.
Well, yes, true that. Anderson in once more, pushed to gully, and there is no run. We're joined briefly by Tim Bresnan, sporting a splendid beard.
Smiliest player in the world. I love Brez.
You do, don't you?
Yeah.
It was very touching.
I know.
Yeah.
Andrew.
No, in England you actually did average better in the second innings. You averaged 32 in the first innings and 25 in the second innings.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a Caddick.
Mind you, as you say, a spinner, you should do.
Yes.
You really should, because the pitch is deteriorating.
Well,
But for a seamer, I suppose it's
you're
different.
doing a donkey's job in the first innings. You're bowling as many overs as possible to rest, see your seamers get a rest between taking all the wickets.
Anderson in to Hope, and he comes forward in immaculate defence and plays it back to Anderson, who then flips it up with his left boot and then kicks it into his right hand. 137 for 3. 1 ball remains in the 45th over.
Well, Brez is here. Let's have a look at Brez's averages first. I bet they're pretty similar as well.
Yep. Well, because he didn't play in a losing team, did he?
Not for 10 test matches it was before we lost one with Brez. And I think the first, we won 10 in a row and then Brez got dropped for one and we lost the game.
Typical.
I'm not saying Andy Flower's completely wrong, but should have thought about it.
Next delivery is defended on the front foot and to the offside. Moeen Ali picks up at the end of another unsuccessful over for England, but a good one for the West Indies. 137 for 3, 45 overs gone. They are now only 121 in arrears. I've been told not to say trail by Wendy Wimbush, so I refuse to say trail anymore. You're not allowed to say trail by.
I'm fine with that.
What, not saying it?
Say
or
they're
saying
behind, I don't know.
Yeah.
If it upsets one person, it's one too many.
That's exactly right, isn't it? Yeah. And Andrew.
There's another Caddick, Bresnan.
Oh,
He's another Caddick, is he?
41 in the first innings, 23 in the second.
Oh, that's terrible. That's worse than Caddick. That's a disparity of 18 runs between first and second innings.
I'll tell you why, when you needed Brez, when you needed him, second dig, he was there.
And presumably, he never
got to bowl first innings.
He was made to bowl on those dead
on
tracks when Anderson and Broad couldn't be bothered, so they'd bring on Bresnan. That would make sense. I've been brought a cake, you know.
Have you?
By a cousin.
A cousin?
Yeah. I have half of my family, I'm sorry to admit, are from Yorkshire.
Don't be sorry.
Well, no, I'm sorry.
Not when you're inside the county boundaries.
I know that you're from Nottinghamshire.
I'm not from Nottinghamshire. I live in Nottinghamshire. Half of my family are Lancastrian.
Lancastrian.
Half are Northumbrian.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Northumbrian.
Hence Newcastle United.
Well, I'm very proud to announce to the world again that half my family are from Yorkshire, and the Yorkshire side of my family has brought me a cake. And I've got a note that goes with it as Woakes starts up a new over. And it's full and swinging away, and that really leapt through to Bairstow. He took it around about shoulder height. But again, Brathwaite didn't need to play at it. And the note says, to TMS, congratulations on your 60th anniversary from the extended family of Daniel Norcross, by whom he is never known as Dan.
Proper Yorkshire, that. We don't call him Dan. We know his name's Daniel. He's called Daniel.
You call a Daniel a Daniel. Exactly. Thank you from this cricketing widow. She is a cricket widow, actually, for giving my husband Paul so much pleasure. Paul's the cousin, Denise. Denise has made us a fantastic lemon cake.
Oh, I like lemon.
I love a lemon cake. Next delivery is cut wide, it's short, and it's been hammered out to the boundary by Brathwaite, who moves to 73 with that. The West Indies 141 for 3 in beautiful bright sunshine.
It is beautiful now.
It's looking good to bat, doesn't it?
It is, yeah, but Woakes, just like I said earlier, she's not got the rhythm at the minute. This was slow, this was wide, a real long hop. He actually did very well to hit it in the first place.
I want to see a bit more Moeen Ali, perhaps. I mean, there was
I'd like to see Moeen, but you can understand what Root's doing. He's trying to get Woakes into this game. He's trying to get him some rhythm, let him bowl. He still is swinging the ball extravagantly.
He is, and that ball does swing. On the front foot, Brathwaite comes forward. He's a lot more confident now on that front foot. They were playing very much from the crease before lunch, and now moving their feet with a lot more certainty. 141 for 3. This is the best moment the West Indies have had on this tour, I would say.
Yes, well, they're playing very well. Jeffrey Boycott spoke earlier saying Headingley can be glorious to bat when the sun's out, and he's right. But with Woakes, what I'd be really encouraged to do is just to fill the slips, say bowl full, let the ball swing, bowl full, you will get the edges.
Next delivery is too wide. It was full enough, but it was too wide and left alone by Brathwaite.
You don't mind it being slightly wide. If you bowl 6 balls slightly wide swinging away, a batsman will eventually have a drive. It might go for 4. One of the best swing bowlers I've known, Charlie Shrek at Nottinghamshire. Wasn't quick, but used to hoop it round corners, but bowl ridiculously full. And you often get driven for 2, like spanked for 2 4s, but then nick a guy off and say, if I take my wickets at 8 apiece, I'm more than happy.
I asked Jeffrey to switch. I'm going to ask it to you because I know you're leaving shortly. As his next ball is left alone again, and again it climbs through extravagantly high to Bairstow, and there's no run. Because you played with Jimmy Anderson, Stuart Broad a lot. When we're watching from here, sometimes there's a temptation to get quite frustrated with the lack of fullness of leg. Last night, for example, thinking they're not going to be driving at you. There's only half an hour to go. You've got 6 slips in. What are they there for unless it's for the drive? When you were playing with them, did you sort of go and have a little nudge?
I tell you why. It is easy to get frustrated. I think that up here.
As Woakes, with only 2 slips now, bowls, and Brathwaite's turned round by this ever so slightly, pushes it back up the wicket, fielded by Woakes off his own bowling, end of the over, 46 gone, 141 for 3, Brathwaite 73, Shai Hope 55.
And it's very easy for the ex-bowlers to get frustrated, but what I always remember is the guy out there doing it, Jimmy Anderson, is the best swing bowler we've ever had, and he's the best swing bowler for a good reason. He doesn't listen to anyone else. He doesn't listen to the stubborn old timers with rose-tinted glasses say, Fred pitched every ball up, everything was nicked, never dropped a catch, sun always shone, la-di-da.
Yeah.
We used to just leave Jimmy be. Straussy once ran down the far end to suggest he try the in-swinger to a left-hander rather than, and the 2-word response he got from Jimmy was curt enough that it never happened again. I'll leave him to it.
Very delicately described, Graham. Thank you very much. Here is Anderson into Hope. Oh, and he's slightly turned around again by this is Hope. A ball that came back at him, and he's defended it back up the wicket, fielded off his own bowling by Anderson. We've got 2 slips and sort of 2 gullies, a sort of wide gully and then a finer gully, if you will. Moeen Ali had extra cover, a mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, long leg. We welcome Michael Vaughan, who has a slightly concerned expression on his face.
Well, the West Indies are playing well, aren't they? Hung in there.
Anderson into Hope, who punches off the back foot nicely into space between that gully and extra cover. Moeen Ali is in chase. He collects the ball, throws in. They come back for 2. Hope to 57, 143 for 3.
I reckon Graham Swan's going to get a letter from down, well, from up above, from Fred Truman.
Oh, yeah.
The greatest swing bowler. The greatest swing bowler.
There's
only one.
Was Fred Truman not an out and out? Was he the fastest bowler as well? I thought he was the fastest.
He was the fastest, the greatest swing bowler, seam bowler.
Yeah.
Bowled the best slower ball ever. He didn't need one.
Make him sound like SF Barnes. Here's Anderson in again, and that's thuds off a part of Shai Hope and glides down to a diving second slip, Joe Root, who prevents the ball going down anywhere near the boundary, prevents any runs at all. But I need to see that again. Has that come back sharply? It has come back sharply and thudded off the back thigh pad.
Yeah, you can tell, Dan, from the bowler, and also the field. I think this is a really good field now because that extra cover in place is just giving the bowler a little bit of protection. Mid-off's just gone a bit deeper, straighter. Mid-on's there, straight. Mid-wicket is straight. And I think Joe Root's saying to the bowler, come on, just get it a bit fuller and straight. We've got you some protection now.
So he's sending a subtle message to the bowler. As this next delivery is pushed out to the offside, and it's going to go backward a square. Being chased after by Stokes. He'll haul it in inside the boundary, well inside the boundary, about 10 yards. And they'll come back for 2 more. Swanee was just telling a story about Andrew Strauss he made one suggestion once to Jimmy Anderson about making his length slightly fuller and was sent away with a flea in his ear. Is this Joe Root sending the message in a slightly different way, perhaps?
As a captain, you can send message with subtle like field settings. If your bowler is like Jimmy, who just wants to think for himself, which is fine. But I think now and again it is worth the bowler speaking to the odd batsman, because for instance at Yorkshire might.
Anderson in again to Hope, who covers up in defence to a full ball on off stump, pushes it very firmly and comfortably out to Moeen Ali. There's no run.
The person that gave me as good advice as any with my batting was Peter Hartley, a bowler. Bowling to me in the net, so I just say, look, Peter, he said, you've just got to do this, you've got to get your feet in this position. I'd be looking to do this to you. And I thought, yes, Pete, you're pretty much spot on. So it wasn't always that I'd use a batsman to kind of teach me how to bat. I'd always go to a bowler or two. Mark Robinson, actually, when he was there playing for Yorkshire, he was always good.
Anderson in again, and again covering up in immaculate defence.
Always netting angry.
And there is no run. End of the over. 145 for 3 off 47. Brathwaite 73. Hope 59. And Swanee, you're eating the lemon drizzle cake. And he says, Denise Dyson, he says this is absolutely delicious. He's just made the universal sign for heaven upon eating a cake, which is to kiss your forefinger and third finger and then point to the sky as if there can be nothing more delicious. It's moist, is it? Oh, he's gone. I think it must be. It looked moist.
No, he's come back. He's back.
Is it moist and spongy? And
is it light?
It's light. Is he auditioning for that show that's moved to Channel 4?
I get confused what they're all. They're all called something bake, aren't they?
They're all called the Great British something as well. There's a Great British Pot Off. There's a great whatever,
I think there's a sew off, isn't there?
I think there is. Oh. Now there's a programme that really would bring tears to my eyes of boredom. Oh, the Great British Sewing Bee, I think it's
Blowers
called.
should go on that.
Blowers.
Make himself some new outfits.
Stokes has replaced Woakes, and his first ball is very wide, and it's given as a wide. It really was that wide of the off stump, taken by Bairstow almost in front of second slip by the time he actually gathered it. No run. Oh, well, one run.
You can see from the response from the England side in the last few minutes that Jimmy Anderson throwing the ball at the stumps, getting the ball in his hand after a nice drive back to him. And you sense that they know they're in a real contest here. They're just trying to up the ante.
Here's Stokes in again to Brathwaite, who again leaves a ball in the channel, not having to play that through to the keeper. No run. I was asking Swanee about Moeen Ali. I mean, he got prodigious turn. The decision that went in his favour that was overturned, that ball turned absolutely mild, didn't it? Worth persevering.
Yeah, the one thing I would have said about Moeen, I thought he could have tried around the wicket.
What is that? Partly because there's enough turn there.
Yeah, I think there's enough turn to pitch it on and bring the ball back into the pads.
Stokes in once more, short. And again, there's good carry from this end. Is it?
It's just
flies through.
Yeah, that's pretty bowling.
But there's enough in the pitch. There's enough carry.
There is,
but at the moment, it's too wide of the off stump.
Yeah, it's wide, it's short, and it looks nice, doesn't it? It flies through to Jonny Bairstow head high, and it's quite a steep bounce, but it's completely the wrong length at Headingley. And so we're like broken records here, but it is so basic the way that I got it wrong here in 2003, my first series against South Africa.
Stokes in way too wide, way too wide of the off stump. I mean, it's another wide, second wide of the over. I wonder how many times Stokes has delivered 2 wides in an over. We'll get Andrew onto that.
Yeah, I think the first day against South Africa in 203, I think Kirsten got a big 100, but we had him 7 down quite quickly, 140 for 7. Then we just bowled short, bowled wide, ice at the wrong fields, and it can happen here. But
Stokes in to Brathwaite. That's fuller and straighter this time. A better delivery, but again too wide for Brathwaite to have to play at it. And Brathwaite's in a zone here. He's
he's playing well.
Taking himself away to, well, not to short leg, if you like, and back again. And he can do this, Brathwaite. I've seen Brathwaite dig in before. He's a
Dig in.
Hashtag dig in. He's a solid,
Well, his
solid player.
technical game in this innings has been tremendous. It really has. He's played it late. He's been playing it straight.
Stokes at him and too short, and that's just pushed out to the offside. They're able to defend it easily enough. 2 slips, gully, cover point, extra, mid-off, mid-on, mid-wicket, and a long leg.
We're doing like a bingo today, you know the boycott bingo.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah.
TMS bingo.
Rhubarb and all that.
Yeah, like too short, too wide.
Yeah, yeah.
A full house, wasn't it?
Yes. Why will you not pitch it up?
Got to pitch it up at Headingley.
Yeah.
Ball to at the top of off stump. Ball to at the stickers.
Yeah.
Stickers of the stump. You know the Investec sticker that goes up, trying at the top of the sticker.
Stokes again is too wide, and Brathwaite is now leaving the ball utterly dismissively. He sort of walked towards it and then walked away from it as if to say, "What do you expect me to do with that? I can't be bothered with that." Through to the keeper it goes. So far, he's only been made to play 1 ball in this over from Stokes, and it was a short one that he defended with extreme ease into the offside. 147 for 3, with 1 ball left in what's would have been an 8-ball over with those 2 wides in it as well. And that's straighter and a bit fuller, but again, Brathwaite's equal to the task and just pushes it out to short extra cover. It's the end of the over, 48 gone, 147 for 3. Michael Vaughan's going to try to find some other pieces of advice beyond pitch it up, because we've given that advice. Don't know what else to say to them. And then it will be Simon Mann.
A few dots, a couple of wides, but there's not a huge amount of movement. But you just know here, if you just get the ball full of length with something on it, you can't just float it up there to be driven. You've got to get it just forward defence length. He continues to put the ball in that area, something will happen. You have to give these two a huge amount of credit. They've played with skill, determination, bit of aggression as well.
Here's Hope on strike and coming forward, playing defensively to Anderson towards cover, and there's no run. What a difference a week makes.
Well, I was going to ask you, Simon, you're good on history of all sports, but where would you put the Western's got a long way to go before they obviously get with Stuart Broad's coming in at mid-off. He's going to have a chirp. Again, this is indications, isn't it? Look at Broad, he's right in Hope's face. There's an indication here that the England team have got a little bit of a flap on. They know they're in a contest. From Edgbaston to arriving here at Headingley, if the West Indies managed to win this Test match, where would you put it in terms of shocks of sport?
Anderson bowls. That's turned away down towards fine leg for a single. 148 for 3. It's funny enough, it's the same thing I was discussing with Dan Norcross at the back of the box after lunch.
As well. Where would you rank this comeback from what we saw at Edgbaston to potentially, let's say they go on and win this Test match, let's say they've won the Test match, where does it rank in comebacks or in shocks in sport? Like Mayweather-McGregor tonight, if McGregor beats Mayweather, that's going to be a huge shock in boxing. Yeah, massive. Yeah, that can't happen, surely.
148 for 3. Brathwaite ducks underneath a short ball. It seems to follow him from Anderson. Bairstow ends up taking that down the leg side, and there's no run.
It's like Bristol City last night against Villa. That would have been a huge shock in football, wouldn't it, if Bristol had beaten Villa?
Behave yourself,
Why are you
Michael. Well, I think the biggest upset, I would say that, but this is a different sort of, the biggest upset in my lifetime was Leicester winning the Premier League.
Yep.
That is just, you could not countenance that as a sporting happening.
Yep.
148 for 3. Here is Anderson bowling, and he strikes him on the pad, but quite high, so there's no appeal. It runs down to the gully, and there's no run. In terms of cricket, and I was there when Ireland beat England in Bangalore from 111 for 5, chasing 320, some 324, says Andrew. And that, from that position, that was incredible. You don't win.
Holland beating England, remember that T20?
Yeah, I remember that one as well at Lords. Yeah,
that was the first game of the World Cup.
Well, they've done them since as well in a T20
That's not a shock then, is it?
in Chittagong. was there for that as well. That was Ashley Giles' last match in charge from memory. That's a short ball that's guided away towards backward point.
Should we ask the listeners?
Yeah,
Tweet us in your biggest shocks in sport.
And the Leicester one's different because it's over a sort of whole season, isn't it? Well, this is a one-match bounce back. I mean, England in terms of, when Alec made his 200s in Barbados, England were in for a shellacking in that series, weren't they? And then they came back and won in Barbados. I don't think anyone gave them a hope. I think West Indies not lost in Barbados for 3 centuries or something. Here's Anderson coming in from the football stand end, into ball to Brathwaite. It's down the leg side. It's going to be 4 more. It's tickled away, possibly off the pad, possibly off the bat. We'll just wait for any potential signal. There we are. Umpire Ravi strokes his leg. Signal leg buys to the scorers, but West Indies won't mind about that. Another 4 runs onto the total. 152 for 3. Extras into double figures. Anderson there straying onto leg stump and turned away. And West Indies now, well, they're close to being fewer than 100 behind.
59 years it was.
59
Not quite
years.
3 centuries, but yeah,
What
very long time.
What was the score in the series when we got to Barbados?
The one thing that's good for the selectors and good for the England management in this game, not that they want to get into that position, but the second innings when England bat, the batsmen are going to be under that much pressure, just 3 under their, for their place in the side, the 2, 3 and 5, but because of the situation of the game as well. So it's going to be a real good test.
It's proper cricket, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Here's Stokes going into bowl. That's the ball to Hope. He's in behind that, playing defensively towards cover, and there's no run.
It was the 4th test of the series, a 5-test series, and it was a dead rubber. West Indies had won the first 3, including the previous one, which is, of course, the 46 all out in Port of Spain.
Yeah. So it's sort of similar to that, isn't it?
Yeah, but it isn't a dead rubber, you see. I remember in 2023 we were 4-0 down going to Sydney. And we'd been hammered in 4 test matches and ended up winning the game in Sydney. That was a huge shock, but you're 4-0 down, so it's...
Stokes bowls, Hope squared up, but keeps it out of his stumps and his pads, goes to backward point, picked up by Stoneman, no run.
This series is still alive, and you're only a few days away from what was a performance at Edgbaston that was so poor, and they were so far behind. It was so one-sided. Now we're only a day and nearly a half into the second test match, and it's almost been the reverse, hasn't it? It's been one-sided the other way.
I had a quick look at the odds after lunch. Straight after lunch. Here's Stokes going into bowl outside the off stump, and there's no stroke. 152 for 3. I mean, all sorts of betting websites offer different odds, but the one I looked at was England was still 4-1 on effectively, and West Indies were 5.4 to 1.
Really?
That was after lunch. Since then, might have changed a bit since then. 152 for 3, 109 for 3 at lunch.
I'd still favour England, but the West Indies get 300 plus. You wouldn't want to be facing that Shannon Gabriel.
Well, there's Gabriel, and the ball might turn as well. Here's Stokes bowling outside the off stump. Oh, rolls along the ground, that one. Goodness me. Outside the off stump, Hope let it go, and Bairstow in the end just put his pads together to let the ball hit them. It was so difficult to take. So this pitch is not absolutely straightforward. I mean, it's not a bad batting pitch, but I think the ball will turn as the game goes on.
I think it's been a very interesting test wicket so far. There's just a little bit there, isn't there? I think that's what you need in test cricket. The pitches are so important. The Duke ball, clearly you always get a bit of movement with the Duke.
Stokes bowls full down the leg side. Good take by Bairstow. Sprawling away to his left-hand side, one-handed, as the batsman tried to flick it away and missed. Well, Buster Douglas beating Mike Tyson's one, wasn't it? But you could argue with that with boxing, one punch, whereas this is over 4 or 5 days or whatever. And Leicester's over a whole season, and that was what I think was most incredible about that.
Germany, Brazil World Cup 7-1.
Yeah, I mean the scoreline was an upset, but not Germany beating Brazil. And Stokes bowls, forward goes Hope, playing that defensively into the offside up towards mid-off, and there's no run. I was there in Cardiff when Bangladesh beat Australia in that one-day match, which at the time felt seismic. That was the start of that 2005 summer. It got a bit quieter after that, though, didn't it? 2005, after Bangladesh overturning Australia, not much happened from then on.
Well, that was a shock.
Yeah, well, England beating Australia, yeah. I mean, I don't think many people would have given England a chance at the start of the summer. It's funny that one person who did, though, I remember doing a match at Headingley. Who was there before? Well, it would have been Bangladesh, wouldn't it? Anyway, it was a I think it might be a one-day game at Headingley. We were speaking to Tony Cozier, and Tony Cozier before that series gave England a chance. He said, because you've got 4 fast bowlers, you've got 4 pace bowlers to run in.
This Anderson now around the wicket, you just sense that Ben Stokes is bowling with Joe Root kind of giving the message, just make something happen. England have almost turned to an approach that you'd find on a flat wicket. When you're struggling for ideas, they're going to like plans A, B, C, D, probably down to F now.
Well, this is a test of Root's captaincy. 152 for 3. Brathwaite 73 not out. They've been together since 35 for 3. And Anderson goes in, round the wicket to bowl to Brathwaite. The leg slip in, it's across him outside the off stump. He sort of shapes to play and then lets it go by through to Bairstow. What's very good batting conditions now. Second day pitch, sun's out, plenty of blue sky above.
Yeah, Stokes and Anderson out. I think the message has been sent running hard and try and bowl a bit faster. It's 86 miles an hour. The ball's going head height through to Jonny Bairstow, but it's just too short.
This is the 51st over with this ball. So a long way from second new ball, so 30 overs away. Anderson moves in and bowls. That's a defensive shot from Brathwaite. Not that certain there for a man who's been there for 50 overs, playing it back down the pitch, but he kept it out and picked up by Anderson off his own bowling, and there's no run. What else have you got there? Any more?
There's no one entertaining it, Simon. They're not interested.
Well, perhaps that's because it will be one of the big upsets.
Well,
I
think it's hard to think of one. I really do. I mean, this is a remarkable turnaround.
Still long way to go. 152 for 3. Brathwaite 73 not out. Anderson bowls to him. He's back in behind that, playing it defensively up towards Broad at mid-off. And there is no run. One thing that Edgbaston showed us, I suppose, and recent West Indies cricket showed us, if one goes, then will a few more go quickly, and that's why these two need to take advantage as much as they can. They're both in. Just go really big with this partnership. West Indies still over 100 runs behind. Anderson moves in and bowls a short ball. He ducks underneath it. Brathwaite is taken by Bairstow, effectively down the leg side.
Well, England will know that Jermaine Blackwood's got a good record against them. He played well in the first innings at Edgbaston, and you won't want someone like Blackwood coming in with just a deficit of 50 or so.
Yeah, start crashing it around.
Yeah, I mean, what have we got? We've got another 30 overs of the old ball. That's 3 and over, 4 and over, maybe 3 and a half. Let's get another 100 runs. So by the time the second new ball comes, they're going to be parity.
2 slips to gully and a leg slip. Anderson went into bowl there and then pulled out for some reason, whether he just lost his run up or the plane going over the ground put him off. I'm absolutely not sure. So, OK, you're West Indies captain, Michael. You're Jason Holder sitting down there on the balcony beneath us, enjoying this. You're a proxy Jason Holder. I'm offering you a 65-run first innings lead. Would you take it from here?
Yeah, I think I would. Another 170 runs.
Anderson bowls down the leg side. He shapes to turn it away, Brathwaite, and then no real interest. It's taken by Bairstow away to his left-hand side.
Yeah, that's 320. Yeah.
You take that?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Because he'll know in the back of his mind, England get a couple now, they could easily be 220 all out of the West Indies. So yeah, 65-run deficit with the likes of Shannon Gabriel, Kemar Roach bowling like they did yesterday. And that'll probably just take... How many overs left today?
Look at that in just a moment. Anderson moves in and bowls on the hip of Brathwaite, turns it away down to fine leg for a single. 154 for 3.
51 overs left.
So 51. Yeah, so that'll take us into tomorrow. So the West Indies would have batted out day 2. A little bit of tomorrow maybe. And then you just hope for a nice gloomy day. Yeah. What is the forecast?
I think the forecast is similar tomorrow.
So there'll be clouds around in the morning.
Yeah. And then I think Tuesday there might be some rain, which is the 5th day of the game. We might not need Tuesday or much of it. West Indies 105 runs behind. Correction, 153 for 3 at the end of that Anderson over. He's taken 3 for 30. How many overs has he bowled in this spell?
6 overs so far.
Well, that feels as though it might be about it for Anderson. So they might well have seen him off. Here's Stokes beginning a new over. No wicket for 13 from 6 overs so far. He's in the bowl to Brathwaite. He pinched the strike at the end of the over, but now he's giving it back to his partner because he knocked that into the onside off the back foot towards mid-on, or just short of mid-on, and they are through for 1. So Brathwaite to 75, and West Indies are now 154 for 3. 104 runs behind. I think the morning session, England created chances, didn't they? I mean, it's one of those mornings that really went for West Indies. I'm not saying they were lucky or anything. I'm just saying it's one of those times when things went their way. Here is Stokes bowling short down the leg side. There's an appeal for a catch, or half an appeal, more from behind than Stokes as he went to pull it. Hope. Nothing from the umpire, crucially, and nothing from Root in terms of a review either. There were 2 LBWs that were given out. They were overturned, rightly as well, correctly. And there was lots of playing and missing. But since lunch, England at the moment, I thought that in the morning session, England looked like taking a wicket at any moment. What have you seen? Did he get close to that? I'm not sure that he did he?
No, it's just that the cordon, they all went up. Yeah. No, he doesn't hit it.
Just looking at the replay now, I don't think he did. Stokes was full outside the off stump, no stroke from Hope, allows it to go through to Bairstow. In the morning session, you felt as though a wicket could go over any moment. This afternoon, very different.
Yeah, England had a couple of good spells where they bowled nicely, and the fortune or the edges didn't quite go to hand. Again, it was full credit to the West Indian batsmen because they didn't take the hands to the ball. They played it late. They kind of held the shape. I think they've got 2 wickets, and one of them's not. They've only lost 1 top order player today.
Here's Stokes bowling. It's full. It's driven. It goes to cover, and there is no run. And of the West Indian players as well, the most inexperienced, Kyle Hope, only playing his 2nd Test match. But these two, Brathwaite and Shai Hope, have so far added 119.
There you go.
Been there for 30 overs as well.
Here's a bounce back. Liverpool's Champions League win in Istanbul 2005 from 3-0 down at half time.
Stokes bowls outside the off stump, flies through again. What Michael I think would describe as pretty bowling. No real threat to Hope. It was just slightly wide of off stump. Didn't have to play at it.
3-0 down at half time in the Champions League final. That's not really a comeback, is it? Well, I guess it is a comeback. It's halfway through the game. Not
from one to the next. You're down and out, and then next
Japan
game.
versus South Africa in the last Rugby World Cup. Japan beating South Africa.
Stokes turns beneath us and goes in past the umpire. Bowls a very full delivery, which is dug out by Hope back down the pitch. Stokes picks up, and there's no run. It's the end of the over. 154 for 3.
1998. The Rugby League Challenge Cup final. Sheffield, I'm presuming the Eagles, Sheffield Eagles beating the Wigan Warriors. I don't think they would have been known the Wigan Warriors back in 98. Sheffield beating Wigan in 98, there's one.
This is developing into an interesting Test match. 154 for 3. And it must be frustrating for England because they know that they know what they did last week, and they will feel that they're a better team than this West Indies side. And they'll also feel that they didn't bat well enough yesterday.
Yeah, that'll be the frustration for the management. I think that's the frustration for the team at the minute that they're batting. It's had 3 really good Test matches. The last 2 against South Africa. The first one at Edgbaston against the West Indies. But there's still that little bit of fragility. And there's a bit of movement, a bit of pace. Shannon Gabriel wasn't at Edgbaston. Well, he was there, he wasn't selected. Full credit to the West Indies. They just bowled nicely yesterday, and England just went at the ball too much. They weren't prepared to. Whether it was just overconfidence, it can happen. You don't want it to happen, but it can happen. Having them seen what happened at Edgbaston, but again, it's just a little reminder to them.
Now, Moeen Ali has replaced Anderson. His 5th over, 0 for 19. That's played defensively in the first ball by Brathwaite into the onside, and there is no run. There's noticeable that earlier one that really turned from Moeen, and Brathwaite then tried to get after him. Well, we've got a long on in, deep back with square leg. There's a short mid on as well, silly mid on. Moeen bowls outside the off stump. It's like that Australian line. And forward goes Brathwaite.
Tim May.
Yeah, and plays that defensively to short leg. And there's no run. Stokes in at slip. Short leg fielder as well. There's a deep backward point as well. Moeen bowls. Forward goes Brathwaite, playing that too. Silly mid on, there's no run.
I think I remember the Tim May line. It was in 89 series here. I think I came to the game here at Headingley. He might have done for Robin Smith. That been right in 89?
I think it might have been a bit early for Tim May. Just trying to remember. Here's Moeen bowling outside the off stump, pushed away.
Was it
towards
93?
Cover.
Might have been 93.
No run.
I do remember him throwing some beauties to Robin Smith.
Nicholas Osborne, re-sporting comebacks. The miracle at Medina in the Ryder Cup.
Yes.
Moeen bowls outside the off stump again, well wide of off stump.
What was the deficit? on
Brathwaite
that-
doesn't play.
That last day, how many points were Europe behind? About 6.5 points behind going into the last day. Did they need 8 points on the last day?
Here is Moeen bowling again. It's defended back up the onside of the pitch. And there's no run. It's the end of the over. I remember having to switch off because I had some work to do, and I was sort of incommunicado for about 2 or 3 hours. Then got back into my car, switched on the radio, and I thought I was hearing a recording of a previous golf event when I heard that Europe had won. End of the over. Drinks coming onto the field, and well, it's been a chastening first hour of the afternoon for England. Richard. Best cricketing comebacks, of course. Heading in 1981. However, my favourite, he says, was 2001, the second test, India and Australia. India following on, and then Lakshman and Dravid's innings, and India winning. I think what we're referring to is more sort of not so much inside the game, but from one game to the next. Anyway, 154 for 3. Jonathan's coming in.
Yeah, well, Joe Root's got a job on here with his team. So I've got to try and pick up a wicket or two. A bit more consistent. I know it kind of sends you to bowling with a few different ideas when you don't get wickets and you start bowling a little bit out of the box in terms of, bowling short, bowling wide, bowling round the wicket. Again, I got it wrong here in 2003, so it can happen, it does happen, but the more you can send a message here at Henley, it's just bowl basics. Bowl to hit the top of off stump as many times as you possibly can.
Yeah, it's just done a little bit, isn't it? I mean, Stokes is swinging the ball both ways. We've seen Moeen find some spin, but only 3 wickets down. One of those the night watchman. And West Indies slowly, carefully, as they do in Test cricket, working themselves, well, potentially into a decent position. They're still 104 behind, but they've got those 7 wickets left. As we know, they could possibly go down in a clatter, but the way they're playing at the moment, led by Brathwaite, and absolutely doing their best to make sure it doesn't happen. Victor, are you now fully enlightened on the universe and all matters intergalactic?
Well, a little enlightened. No, sadly, I didn't manage to catch the entire interview.
You didn't listen to any of it, did you? You didn't listen to any. You were
I've
busy
heard
having.
excellent
You were busy having your lunch.
It's difficult when it
That's
clashes for
disappointing.
lunch. So,
That's disappointing.
So you don't know how the ball swings anymore.
Well, it is more complicated to work out why a ball swings than it is to explain the universe. That's a fact. We've learned that at lunchtime today. It seems extraordinary, but there you go. So I think we'll give up trying to explain how the ball swings.
Well,
I think that our usual theory that, well, it feels a bit muggy, therefore the ball's going to swing isn't good enough.
You've got to have a dark one. Pick a dark one out of the box.
If you're wondering what we're talking about, then the podcast is now available of our view from the boundary today. It was great fun. It's one of those where it's just really nice to have audience participation too on such an immense subject. But Chris Lintott from Sky at Night, that's an excellent guest today. It's such a fascinating subject, and best of all, that Philae is still there. We found Philae after all of that. There she is. She's upside down, and she's still hurtling through space on that rather ugly asteroid. But we thought we'd lost her, and now she's been found, and that was one of the more enlightening things as well. Do you have a clue what I'm talking about? Have you glazed over again, Victor? Do you remember Philae landing on the comet?
That's not in Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, is it? Oh, right. No, I don't remember it very well.
Don't you?
No.
Oh, that's a shame. She was tweeting from... she bounced.
Oh, right.
Oh, Victor, where have you been? So the trouble is, you went to university and then you switched off. You didn't bother learning anymore. Some of us who didn't do that, we try and keep expanding our knowledge as we get older, you see. 154 for 3. In goes Stokes, bowls down the leg side, a bouncer, and Hope gets underneath it, and through it goes. So they've had a drink. The sun's out. It's a lovely afternoon.
Well, the sun has come out, and traditionally, of course, as the scientists can prove. It makes batting easier at Headingley.
What's the equation for that?
But it has been frustrating for England. I mean, Woakes is a good example. We'll talk about Woakes briefly.
Yeah. In goes Stokes, bowls short. Oh, it's a nasty one. The ball's popped up just wide of Bairstow. I'm not sure if it came off the glove. It might have come off an arm or something, but it was a nasty bouncer. Hope didn't play it very well. And Stokes is hanging around there, lingering as if he's saying something there. And
I think he's actually
checking
concerned
that he's all right.
Hope.
Perhaps he hit him on. Actually, it's hit him on the side of the. It hit him on the helmet actually, and it was a brutal ball. It was short and dug in, but it's hit the side of the earpiece. And I hope's okay, but that'll have made a nasty noise. And he's having a look at the helmet now, and the physio's arrived just to check him out. And Stokes actually he was nodding at him.
You all right?
He was saying, "You okay?" That's nice to see that. So. There's now checks on the helmet being made. So Hope on 60, but it was a good ball. Tony and Cato says if England had kept with Roland-Jones, he'd be on a fifer by now.
Well, there's something in that. That I think that Roland-Jones, who hasn't the pace of some of these guys, but just bowling full and straight, which is what he's done in the series, might have worked quite well. Woakes has looked terrific. In that he's had rhythm, the ball, you keep seeing Bairstow taking the ball up here, and it looks really good, but it hasn't just quite been in the right spot, so the batsmen have left that ball that's zipping through with great pace outside the off stump. You think if he gets it at the perfect length, he's bound to get wickets, but he couldn't quite find that.
He hasn't played very much.
No, but it was coming out of his hand at good speed,
yeah.
And the pitch seems to have quickened up, and you thought there's some wickets out there.
Yeah.
But he just hasn't quite got them, and then they're starting to strain a bit. Yeah.
They're still making sure that everything's okay with Shai Hope, physio, I think, talking to him and so on. It was a bit of a clatter. I think what they're going to do, actually, I think they're going to change the helmet by the look of it. So they're waiting for running repairs being made to it. Just a reminder that on the cricket section of the BBC Sport website and the app, there's a commentary on Super Saturday in the Kia Super League. So there are places for the finals day up for grabs. Ebony's Surrey Stars trying to reach the final. I hope they don't copy her dismissal the other day, Wednesday. If you haven't seen that and you want to actually have a very good laugh, then I do commend E. Rainford Brent. Stumped James Bold Man. It's on the iPlayer. It was one of the more comical moments.
Can you watch it before 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock?
I think only parts of it.
Oh, right.
But dear old Ebony, flat on her back, legs in the air, floundering, trying to make her ground. It gets better with viewing. But she did actually do fair to Ebbs. She did hit quite a beefy six, the ball before. 154 for 3, all is well now, and hope is restored. And so Stokes can continue. There's two slips, a gully. In goes Stokes once again. Bowls on the leg stump, and Hope tucks him into the leg side. And Woakes will run round from mid-on to do the fielding. So he's got away for a moment, take a few deep breaths. 155 for 3. Weston is 103 behind. So they're slowly but surely chipping away. For them to get a lead would be a really good performance, and they should do from this position. They should do.
Well, remember, one of those three is Bishoo, the night watchman, so there's a fair bit of batting on paper to come.
Here's Stokes, bowls to Brathwaite, who tucks that away down to point. Brathwaite just goes on and on, 147 balls. The 100 he scored against England on the last tour, Andrew, I remember him scoring. I don't remember much about the innings, but was that quite a patient innings of this type? I think it was his first, wasn't it? 155 for 3. A wave breaks out on the west stand. It's not going to go very far. It fizzles out halfway round. And Stokes on his way again. As the sun comes out, he bowls a poor ball this time down the leg side, and Brathwaite simply leans out of the way. It's collected by Bairstow, who then looks towards the west stand to monitor the progress of this wave. Actually, it's picked up. It fizzled out for a moment, and now actually it might come all the way round. This one, it's just gaining a little bit of momentum as it passes underneath us and away to the left. around to the corporate boxes where the old pavilion used to be. In goes Stokes. Bowls on the leg stumps, flick down towards long leg. One more to Brathwaite. He goes to 76.
It was actually his fourth test.
Oh, was it?
It was in Grenada. He made 116 off 252 balls.
Yes, it was a patient.
He is a patient batsman. His strike rate in Test cricket is about 42.
But he knuckles down.
Oh, well, as I was saying earlier on, he'd be in the England team.
Yes, he would.
Well, I'm just thinking of Root's options, and we've had all the conventional options. Moeen hasn't bowled many overs, but he might get a bit of a spell here. Malan for leg spin.
Yes.
Well, it'll be an over before tea. Did he bowl? Has he bowled yet? He's bowled one over so far in his Test career.
I'm a little bit surprised that Moeen hasn't bowled more, actually, because he did get that ball really to spin, and he's in the attack now. That's driven out through extra cover, and that's going to go for 4 runs out to the wide long off boundary. Root goes to find it. 160 for 3, but after, I mean, as any bowler,
you got that ball to turn.
You want to come on and do something, and it really turned very sharply and fractionally. The review was turned over, as it were. It just struck the batsman outside the line of the off stump, but it really sent out a bit of a message that ball. That not every ball will spin like that, but every now and then one will do. 160 for 3. Moeen again with a short leg, bowls, that's tucked away into the leg side. Brathwaite again on that back foot. He's on 80.
I think one reason why he hasn't bowled more is the sense that whilst the odd ball is turning, he's going to yield runs more quickly, and it's a tight game. It's not like you've got 500 to play with.
Moeen again, bowls. Oh, ugly shots from Brathwaite. Trying to drive against that spin through the covers.
That was a bit of a slap, wasn't it?
And it ended up at short mid-on. Just what Moeen wants to see. 160 for 3. 98 behind now. Moeen again, bowls, and that again punched this time, but back to the bowler. And there's no run. Best weather of the game now. Bright sunshine, lots of blue sky. And still the wave continues in a clockwise direction round the ground as Brathwaite turns that away to mid-wicket. 160 for 3. The ball to go in the 55th over, so new ball sort of, it's there, it's a dangling target after tea. There's Moeen bowls, and that spins. Cry of catch it, played with the pad off the front foot. Wouldn't mind seeing him come round the wicket actually, but anyway, 160 for 3, 98 behind, Brathwaite 80, Hope 61, and some deliveries are turning quite spectacularly.
I mean, that last one turned. Moeen gives it a good rip, of course. He's had a terrific summer. But we're in a situation here where runs count as well, and that counts for slight hesitation of bowling. He's only bowled 6 overs, but I think he might bowl quite a few up to the second new ball, unless he gets collared. What's we got out there?
Well, I think it's the cast of HMS Pinafore have arrived down there at the far end now. Certainly half a dozen sailors heading off to take up their positions after a very good lunch, I imagine. 160 for 3, 98 behind. In goes Stokes, resumes his battle with Hope, and inevitably it's another bouncer. But Hope gets well underneath that one. Where are those sailors going? They're saluting the stewards as they walk past, heading towards the West Stand. All in white with their sailors' hats on. Looks as if they're being lined up in some sort of formation there.
They've got their number 1s on.
Yes. 160 for 3. In goes Stokes. Bowls. Chopped away down to gully. Who was the captain in HMS Pinafore? There's one down there definitely in charge, and come on, we should know this. Rafe rack straw and all that.
It's not pugwash, is it?
Little buttercup. It's not pugwash, Victor, no. Oh, had to look it up, Andrew. 160 for 3. People will be shouting at their radios. It goes Stokes again, forward, pushed away out to cover. You're a Gilbert and Sullivan fan, Victor? No, I love Gilbert and Sullivan.
Well, you should know that.
Yes. I'm afraid I'm going to look it up. Pirates of Penzance. Eddie Bevan's a big Gilbert and Sullivan fan, I know. Our friend from Wales. Captain Corcoran. Thank you, whoever came up with that one. 160 for 3. Off goes Stokes, over the wicket, and he bowls. It's full, and a checked drive from Hope. He could have followed through there a little bit more, but again, he's showing just the sort of discipline that the West Indies need here.
This is the beauty of Headingley in a way. I mean, this morning, that first session, even when they got the 2 wickets, but you felt they could have got about half a dozen. Ball was moving around all over the shop. Ball was beating their bat. And now here we are this afternoon. The sun's come out.
Yep.
Ball's a bit older. And they can barely get past the outside edge now.
Here's Stokes, past the umpire, bowls an ill-directed bouncer down the leg side, but Moeen's moved into quite a crafty position there. He's not a backward short leg, he's a sort of a backward square leg, really. But you feel he's there for some sort of pull shot or an attempt to play a short ball with a man out at deep square leg.
They obviously don't think he's doing anything now because they're bowling quite a lot of bouncers. Now they're going to shuffle Moeen. Where is he? A bit closer, is it? No, he's coming over the offside.
Still 3 slips.
Perhaps he's going to bowl fuller now. Or is it a double bluff?
Stokes runs in, bowls to Hope, who stands up and plays a short ball down into the covers, and there's no run. So the end of the over, we were asking for great sporting comebacks. And Nick Holland offers a nautical suggestion, the 2013 America's Cup. USA 8-1 down, get back to win 9-8. Ben Ainsley, of course, heavily involved in that. All these people shouting Captain Corcoran at me on Twitter. Various spellings, I must admit. There's certainly 3 different options there I can see on my screen. But never mind, thank you, everybody. Senior moment.
That Ryder Cup wasn't too bad. I couldn't watch in Sri Lanka because the television, whilst it had a glimmer of sound, or if you can have a glimmer of sound, had no picture. Remember? Yes. World T20 time?
I do remember. Now here's Brathwaite going on the back foot and playing the first ball from Moeen into the leg side. I do remember that. 160 for 3. Short leg and a slip, and Moeen bowling over the wicket. Also a short mid-on, and he bowls now, and Brathwaite's forward. And pushes that back for the bowler to pick up. 98 runs behind. Brathwaite on 80. Moeen again. Bowls, and that's pushed away. Certainly in cricketing terms that we've been involved in, it would have to be 94. And I know they talked about it earlier in England and the West Indies. Just have to be. After the thrashings they'd picked up. They even got beaten by an invitation team of some sort in Grenada. Brathwaite flicking away to the onside to then beat the West Indies in Bridgetown. First time anyone beaten the West Indies ever, 59 years. It was an incredible comeback.
Yeah.
Moeen bowls, turned away into the leg side. They'll pick up 1. 161 for 3. Tuffers catching Lara. Do you remember that? Up in the air, Tuffers running back.
Mid-on or somewhere?
Yeah, I think the leg side. Oh.
Alex Stewart's hundreds, of course.
Yep. $161 for 3. Still being tortured by photographs of people listening on holidays too. Here's Moeen, and back he goes. Hope plays into the pitch. There's no run. 161 for 3. Sun lounges in Lanzarote. There's all sorts of lovely pictures, Victor.
Doesn't seem to be much chance of rain in Lanzarote.
No, it doesn't. I'm not sure the ball would swing much over there, Jonathan, if I'm honest with you. But, there's not a cloud in the sky. There's a lot of palm trees. Looks very nice. That's nice here at Headingley too.
Yeah.
Not many palm trees, but we do have trees.
And Root's got a few problems.
He has.
Stokes has sort of given it his all, but he's reverted to bowling a lot of bouncers. He doesn't think the conventional, top of off stump. I think top of off stump is nearly always the answer at most squares, but certainly ahead of it. And I think they got a bit overexcited and started to strain. Apart from that, Anderson bowled a beautiful first spell, where he was patient. And you thought Woakes would get some, they kept beating the bat early on, but then he got a little impatient too, I reckon.
Here's Stokes starting a new over, and Brathwaite turns off his hip. And Moeen scuttles round there at backward square leg to field. So still in that rather odd position. Set for both of these batsmen actually now.
Kind of a deep leg gully, I suppose. He's quite a long way from the bat, isn't he?
Yeah.
Almost 20 yards.
I was told very early in my commentary career
that like leg gully.
We don't talk about leg gullies, Jonathan. Leg gullies.
What is it then? Backward short
is Australian.
Leg. Well,
161 for 3. And goes Stokes, bowls outside the off stump, full length. And Brathwaite lets it go. That is backward square leg.
No worries.
Or backward short leg if he's a bit closer. It was either, I think it was John Woodcock who told me that, or Jim Swanton, one of the two. I hope Wooders is listening, he might be. Good old boy. No, we don't have leg gullies, but that would be, if we were in Brisbane and we were commentating on the ABC, we would say that Moeen is now leg gully.
Yeah.
161 for 3. He's crouching there, hands on knees. In goes Stokes, bowled way outside the off stump. Oh, he almost gave his wicket away there, Brathwaite. He chased one of the widest balls of the day. And, tried to poke the ball over gully, really, but so nearly found the edge. And that really would have been a shame from his perspective. And Hope's coming down saying, come on, don't get out like that. You fought so hard.
I mean, if he completely left that, I think it might have been a wide.
Yeah. It would have been a terrible way to have got out. It only just missed the edge of the bat. Stokes kicks off again, moves in, bowls a good short ball, that one. That was better, that leapt. And Brathwaite offered the bat, and Bairstow actually had to leave the ground to collect that. I mean, vertically, up he went, both feet off the ground to catch it.
The old radar came up at 88 miles an hour for that. That's pretty quick.
That's a brutal ball, really, from just short of a length.
Well, it is. It was one of those that looks really good, though, but in fact, it was a poor shot. It's a bit wide. You know, you can leave that quite happily. He was trying to score off that.
Did bounce. Stokes again, bowls, and that's tucked away off the hip. And there's Moeen fielding backward short leg to field. It went quite quickly to him.
Well, I think it is quite a good position for Brathwaite in particular, because he's very adept at just sort of flicking the odd run behind square on the leg side. And sometimes it does automatically go in the air, but it's usually perfectly safe. But they've got a man there.
Martin White says, I was there in Barbados in '94, the last test match I went to before today. I'm here for my test debut in England. That's good. Here's Stokes bowling on off stump. And it's played away back to the bowler again to end the over. Well done, Martin. Shame you haven't come before, but great to have you here. Hope you're enjoying your day, as I'm sure Victor is, and I'm sure West Indian supporters are, because they're chipping away. 97 behind, 161 for 3. And it's mentioned from Sheila, so thanks so much for the best view for the boundary for as long as I can remember. What a joy to hear a guest who's so knowledgeable about his subject, yet can speak enthusiastically and interestingly without talking down to his audience.
Yeah, well, you don't get that very often on Test Match Special, do you?
You don't. I was spellbound for the entire 40 minutes. First time ever. I didn't want the cricket to resume. Well, listen to the podcast if you like. It was actually
terrific.
Maria here has said Aga's disbelief that a cricket ball's movement is more complex than the entire universe was hilarious. I'm still getting over that. 161 for 3, and we'll have Fazia coming in here in a second. Let's watch his first ball, though, from Moeen from the football stand in. 161 for 3. In he comes, and he bowls to Hope, who's on the back foot and playing back to the bowler. So a thought from you, Victor, and then Fazia's coming in.
Well, he's coming in with 2 West Indians at the crease. This must be the biggest partnership, well, certainly the biggest partnership in the series for them by a huge margin.
Well, a long way. As he's on the back foot, tucking this one away on the onside is Shai Hope. I've actually got 2 questions. 161 for 3. One concerning...
Not about the universe.
Oh, yes, actually.
No.
One about the universe and one about the greatest comebacks ever.
Right.
Slipping a short leg and a short mid-on in place. There's a long on as well and a deep point. as Moeen bowls, and he's on the front foot driving out towards that deep point. Will get one. Will they think of the second? No, they won't. So it's 162 for 3. Hope 62, Brathwaite is 82. How do we know that are not life forms out there that don't obey the laws of physics as we know it? So therefore, the oxygen, the hydrogen, the whatever else, that they don't obey those rules. As the delivery has him on the back foot, Brathwaite, as he plays it away towards the onside.
Obviously, I'd tell you that, but when Moeen's bowling, there's just really not enough time between deliveries.
No, you get away this time. We'll wait till the next over. As Moeen bowls and Brathwaite pushes into the offside, there's no run. Second question, aren't we missing the obvious as far as great sporting comebacks? West Indies versus England 2000, lose the first test in 3 days by an innings at Edgbaston. Second test, you're trailing on first innings by 130 runs. He's on the front foot, gets the edge, has he? Or has it come off the pad? They're appealing. They're asking for it. Was there an edge? Moeen doesn't appear to be sure. Are they going to review it? Somebody wants it. Stokes wants it. They're going to review it. So we'll have to wait and see. Was there an edge?
Mark, we have a review for
Moeen didn't appear particularly
No, he didn't.
sure.
I mean, if there's an edge, surely it's going to be an inside edge on the pad. But it's not going to be a no ball, I'll tell you that.
Legal delivery, no problem with that. Maria Erasmus, the third umpire, looking on very carefully. Goes forward. There would have to be an inside edge if there's any edge.
Can't see
it. Looks like it's missing the bat. Can I have the ultra edge, please?
Maria's first reaction is that it's missing. Let's see if there's any suggestion of an edge as it goes past the bat. Nothing
Drop
there.
and roll that.
No.
The only suggestion of movement on the ultra edge is when it goes into the pad.
Okay, let's let it roll through. I just want to check it didn't hit the glove.
So I think they just want to finish off.
Happy with that. I'm going to go back on field.
It appears that the not out verdict will be upheld. Umpire Ravi.
Ravi, stay with your original decision. You're on screen now.
He's had a couple of decisions overturned. In fact, giving Kraigg Brathwaite out on a couple of occasions. And this one has been upheld.
The next edition, I think, of the Oxford, whatever it is, Oxford Chambers English Dictionary will have the new verb, I'd like to rock and roll. And it's nothing to do with dancing. It's just when you're watching a video replay, the third umpire, he requires, I'd like to rock and roll that.
The language is changing all the time. I remember you remonstrating with me the last time we were on air in Trinidad. Did I invent a new shot called the tug? Because I kept thinking it was tugging through the onside. Yeah. And I was saying, well, okay, you're tugging it through the onside. Just a different way of saying the same thing. But yeah, getting back to one of the greatest sporting comebacks of all time.
Okay, 2000.
In 2000, they lose the first test, England, by inside 3 days at Edgbaston. And
that's with the first ball flying over the head. That's right.
No, that was 1995 with the first ball flying.
Oh, right.
And then in the second test match, England trail on first innings by 130 runs on day 2, and then win the test match by 2 wickets. Dominic Cork.
At Lords.
At Lords.
Well, that's not bad, is it?
And go on to win the series.
But I'm not sure that's...
The reason I would say that's
startling is that 42 all out, or 46 all
50,
out.
There were 54. West Indies were 54 all out in the second innings at Lords.
Yeah.
Here's Stokes now as he bowls to Hope. He's on the back foot, playing it away square on the offside. There's no run. It remains 162 for 3. The reason I will vouch for that as even more than England's victory in Barbados is that the West Indies had already won the series. They had won the first 3 test matches. So context. I'll go with that one.
Yeah, well, not too bad. And I think on that last day, and there weren't many days, obviously. I think there were 4 innings. There were 4 innings
on the second day. There were 4. There were a bit of the 4 innings.
Yeah.
As Stokes bowls on the off stumper to Hope, plays it away square on the offside because the West Indies had 9 down at the end of day 1.
Yeah.
Then the last wicket fell pretty early. England were all out in their first innings to trail by 130 odd runs. Well, the West Indies were shot out for 54, and then England started their reply before the end of the day.
Amazing, wasn't it? Amazing. And that's why we keep coming, really. That's been what's been missing, not just in this series, obviously, but in a lot of series recently, that you haven't had those gobsmacking turnarounds within a game.
Well, I was asking Andrew about that earlier today, about the the situation with test matches. Stokes bowls short of a length down the leg side, and Hope watches it sail through to Bairstow. 162 for 3, he's on 81, Hope 62, the partnership 127. Are we seeing more one-sided test matches now, maybe the last 6 years, last 10 years, than we were seeing previously?
And has he got any info on that?
Well, yeah, I actually looked at this a couple of weeks ago. And I defined large test victories as being an innings or more than 200 runs. I'll wait for this ball.
Stokes bowls on the line of off stump. He's in behind it, pushing it out towards mid-off to Broad. No run.
So an innings victory, a victory by 200 or more runs, or a victory by 9 or more wickets.
Fair enough, yeah.
And over the last 6 years, the percentage of test matches that had results like that had been 41 compared to 31 in the 6 years before that.
So an increase of
10%.
But an increase of 33.3% from 31% to 41%.
And so I need to know why that is now. I just haven't quite worked out why that should be the case.
Well, I think there are a number of issues tied in there, but to think that you've got 41% of your test matches played being that one-sided.
I know, it's amazing.
That can't be healthy for the game.
No, I agree with that.
Stokes, with a leg slip in place, bowls a full-length delivery. Are you allowed to say leg slip? Right? I heard that.
You can say whatever you want, Fazir.
I can say the tug as well. I'll get away with it. Okay.
You can have him tugging it to leg gully if
no
you
problem.
want to.
Well, he just scoops it away along the ground towards leg gully. But yeah, and I think it's not about bemoaning the issue of the administration of the game, but if you were talking about test cricket being test cricket, you want to have all the teams involved at test level with a greater level of parity. As Stokes continues round the wicket with that leg slip in place, bowls, and he's fending at that one outside the off stump, past the outside edge and through to the keeper at the end of the over. 162 for 3.
Well, obviously I would agree with that, but the other pattern is that even within a series, like the one we've just had against South Africa and some of the Ashes series we've had recently, where you'd think there was a certain amount of parity between the teams, the actual individual matches within a series have been very lopsided. So it might be a 3-1 as it was against South Africa, but the actual games themselves, no one seems to win by 2 wickets with nails bitten down anymore.
And why is that?
I don't know. And
is it about the way the game is played?
Well, I think there's something.
You've got to be positive no matter what, and
I think there is.
It's all over.
A lot of batsmen nowadays have the same gear. Although, can you apply that to Brathwaite? I don't know. Or Cook. It is a bit of a mystery.
Moeen Ali starts his 9th over, bowls outside the off stump to Brathwaite, who's seeming to have lost his concentration just a bit here, fending it a few outside the off stump. This one short of length, spinning into me. He's backing away, looking to cut it away backward of point. Missed times, no run.
But that's partly why we're excited by the way this game is progressing at the moment. And West Indies might get a big lead, but it looks like it could be one of those tight games where every run, every boundary just seems to change the balance of the game.
Moeen to Brathwaite, is on the front foot, mistimes the drive into the onside. Will get the single though, might get a second. They should be able to come back for it. They do in the end quite comfortably out towards deep mid-wicket. He moves on to 83, Hope is 62, the total up to 164 for 3. But indeed, even with all this talk about turnarounds, there'll be many West Indians listening right here on TMS or all over the world, or certainly back in the West Indies, will say, don't get ahead of yourselves, because this is test match cricket. You never know what could happen with the West Indies as Brathwaite plays the next delivery along the ground out towards short mid-on. It remains 164 for 3. There's a lot of cricket to be played in this match, and indeed the West Indies, with that vulnerability that still surrounds them. Brathwaite plays the next one through the onside, but there's a long on in place past that short mid-on. He'll get the single to move on to 84. 165 for 3, and therefore it's with guarded optimism, which the phrase I used at the start of the day when talking with Simon Mann, that you don't want to get too far ahead of yourselves. But this is a tremendous effort, nevertheless, by the West Indies. As he's on the back foot as Shai Hope to the next delivery, forces it away on the onside, knocked down at the short mid-on, and Jimmy Anderson ensuring that the single can't be taken. Remains 165 for 3 with 1 delivery left in the over. Slipping a short leg in place. The ground in shadow as Moeen bowls to Hope, and he's turning it into the shin pads of the short leg fielder. and there is no run once more. 165 for 3. Brathwaite is 84. Hope 62.
Well, we might even have one over of leg spin, but just before tea, the way things are going, that might have to be the answer. Anyway, here's Jeffrey.
Okay, Vic, thank you very much for your thoughts. So, the West Indies starting the day at 19 for 1. Night watchman Devendra Bishoo failing to add to his overnight score before he wafted at a wide lifting delivery from Jimmy Anderson to be caught behind for 1. And then Kyle Hope in his second test match, a full-length delivery, pushing at it indeterminately to Anderson, and he was taken good low catch by Joe Root, the captain, at second slip. Good sharp catch. He went for 3, taking Jimmy Anderson to 495 test wickets, so 5 away from another historic landmark, to be the first Englishman to reach that landmark. Jeffrey Boycott has reached a few landmarks himself, even here at this ground. Joining us now. Good afternoon, Jeff.
Oh, this has been a wonderful day for West Indies. I thought all along coming this morning, I was telling the passengers in my car, my wife Rachel and 2 friends, I said, this day will decide the test match. Whoever wins today will win the test. I said, really? I said, yeah. And West Indies have been fantastic.
2 slips and a gully and a leg slipper. Stokes continues round the wicket to bowl to Brathwaite. He's walking across the stumps of play back along the pitch.
Brathwaite's held it all together. Him and Hope has been the decisive partnership, but Brathwaite has played like a proper opening batsman. He's played with determination, great defence. He's snuffed out the bowling by only playing what he has to, staying back, and they've allowed him to stay back. Takes nothing away. He's been terrific. And quite honestly, the only bowler that's been really threatening has been Anderson. Stokes has bowled very fast, a lot short balls, but I said before on here, bowling short at Headingley is far easier than bowling a fullish length. Easier to play.
Stokes bowls wide outside the off stump. Brathwaite chases it and this time gets bat onto it to get it forward a square for 4. He's gone after a few of those from Ben Stokes and Chris Woakes and others, and sometimes threatened to feather through to the keeper, but this one he got it off the middle of the bat. Even though he wasn't best placed to play the shot, he goes up to 88 at 169 for 3.
And Stuart Broad, I mean, you can see Joe Root doesn't have confidence to bowl him much, and he's one of the major bowlers in world cricket, not just England. He's not bowling him because he's not got any pace or rhythm.
Stokes bowls to Brathwaite on the back foot, punching this one through extra cover. Will get 4 more. He's into the 90s.
Short, 2 short balls. It's easy. You can hit it with a stick of rhubarb. I mean, it's not rocket science. They've got a bowling coach, a head coach, a deputy head coach. Any batsman, never mind the bowling coaches, could tell you, pitch the ball up at Headingley. And the best chance they had was this morning when it was overcast. And once the sun comes out, the ball gets older, it's a lot easier off the back foot. It's too easy, in fact.
173 for 3. The question is, Jeffrey, this is supposed to be a home ground for England. Why are they making the same mistakes over and over again when they come to Headingley?
Well, you better go and interview them. It's not. I can't tell you what they're thinking.
Stokes bowls to Brathwaite, pitched up, and he's pushing this one away on the onside, pitched up on a leg stump. There is a leg slip, a fine leg, a deep mid-wicket, but on the offside you've got 2 slips and a gully, a backward point, short extra cover in place. But again, it would beg the obvious question. If it's so well known that you pitch it up at Headingley, why aren't they doing it?
I don't know if it's well known. You ask me and I'll tell you, because I played here at Headingley probably more than anybody that's alive. I played club cricket here as well for Leeds.
No leg slip in place now. There's an extra one on the offside that covers the next deliveries outside the off stump from Stokes, and Brathwaite lets it go.
There used to be a Leeds cricket club, and I came here to play from Barnsley in 1961, and I played here for, in between playing for Yorkshire, certainly 61, 62 I played here a lot, before I got into the Yorkshire side regularly. And then when we had a blank Saturday, I still played for Leeds. I practiced at Leeds as well in the nets in front of the East Stand where our members usually are. So I played a lot of cricket here besides Yorkshire and England.
Last ball of the over from Stokes is short of a length and back along the pitch.
Frustration.
Brathwaite plays it back up to the bowler. The bowler throws it at the stumps, misses them, taken by Bairstow. So it's 173 for 3. The West Indies 85 behind, Brathwaite 92 and Hope 62.
West Indies winning it. This partnership.
At the moment, there's still 40 overs left in the day, Jeffrey.
Yeah, look, they get through the day, they're winning it so far. That's all I can say, to be honest. You know, I never took any pleasure at Edgbaston in seeing West Indies so awful, really poor. this is a proper cricket test match. This is a proper team who've probably had a lambasting, a lot of criticism, and deservedly so after the way they bowled and battered at Edgbaston, who have taken it to heart. Something's happened in the dressing room. It's more disciplined. It was in the bowling yesterday. Pitched the ball up, ball to one side of the wickets, the off stump. The batting is more disciplined. People are staying in. They're making England bowl a long time, trying not to make mistakes.
Here comes Moeen Ali from the football stand and bowls to Hope. He's driving beautifully. This could run away towards the extra cover boundary at will. Shai Hope showing his range of shots after he survived the examination this morning. He's up to 66 at 177 for 3.
What I'm puzzled by is, I know he got a young captain, is Moeen's bowled quite well, but he hasn't got a wicket, so try round the wicket. Try something different, different field set, different line round the wicket. Ben Stokes has bowled a lot of short stuff, quick and bouncers. That hasn't worked. Why not change the bowling?
Here he goes again, continuing over the wicket, and he swept this one away backward a square. We'll get one, we'll get two, and a good stop, good diving save out on the boundary at a deep backward square leg. That's Alastair Cook right out there, the former captain, and has saved a couple of runs. In fact, saved 3 runs. They only got 1 for that sweep shot. Probably thought it was going away for 4. Should have been able, at the very least, to come back for a couple of runs. But he's on now to 67. Brathwaite on 92. Waits on Moeen Ali with a slip and a short leg and a short mid on, tucking this one away out towards long on for the single. He's on to 93, and the score moves on to 179 for 3. Good going by the West Indies, but they'll be reminding themselves that there's a long way to go. There's a lot of cricket to be played. They can't afford to take anything for granted with the rest of the batting. There are some capable players, capable enough, but they won't want to forget what happened in Birmingham 7 days ago when they lost 19 wickets on that one day. He's round the wicket this time as Moeen to Hope, and he's stroking it away out towards wide long on for the single. 180 for 3. Hope is 67. Brathwaite is 93. Hope now on to 68, and they're continuing to play well.
Yeah, he's gone round the wicket now. He's tying round the wicket. It's about time.
He's got none for 35 from 10 overs.
He hasn't bowled badly, but
10th over.
Spinners do not win test matches at Headingley. Extremely rare. So he's having to do a job because some of the seamers haven't been that good.
The only effective bowler wicket-taking wise would be Jimmy Anderson with his 3. His figures 3 for 30 from 18 overs. And Moeen, 2 deliveries left in his over now. Bowls to Brathwaite, stroking it away past the bowler, out towards the long on for another run. He continues to play sensibly. He's had a poor series in the Caribbean against Pakistan. His highest score was 43. And now he's come good. He's on 94 at 181 for 3.
I think he's been the one that's held the innings together. Played beautifully.
Last ball of the over now from Moeen, and he's driven into the offside, but a good stop at a short extra cover keeps Hope on 68. Brathwaite is at 94. The West Indies 181 for 3, and they're 20 minutes away from the tea interval. You're right, Jeffrey. They've won the day so far, but it's a game of cricket. Anything can happen.
They're killing England. They're killing England with superb batting.
People have revived before.
Look how the ball now is whistling off the bat to the spinner, though, isn't it? They're timing it so sweetly. That's what I said. Once you get the hard work when you start against the seamers, you get in. Spinners is easy at Headingley, honestly.
More thoughts from Jeffrey, and then it will be Daniel now across the tee.
I think Joe Root has to change the bowling a lot more. Swap and change it around, over wicket, round wicket, but not too long. He's got to keep giving the batsmen something different and just waiting for something to happen because they're being out-battered this afternoon. They've won the battle, the West Indies. You've got to put your hand up to them. Well done. And when that happens, you have to think, well, it's not my way. Nothing's coming. I have to just swap it around. Anything. Swap amends. Do anything just to keep the batsman. So often, any kind of cricket you play, and there's lots of people out there play club cricket, I say it's good. So often, how many wickets fall in the first over a new bowler?
Well, Swanee, it always happened, didn't it? Swanee would come on, always.
Yeah. Johan Blake, that long hop fast. Oh, I jumped up and down and laughed at that. I was frightened of Swanee. I've seen him bat in these charity matches. Oh, I was jumping up and down.
Right. Well, what I was going to say is it's only slightly flippantly, I was going to say it's been a summer of one-sided Test matches, and I wonder if we're having another one. But it's just going the way that no one expected. The revival of the West Indies from the way they played at Edgbaston has been
Nobody
quite
could
remarkable.
see it happening. You couldn't see yesterday evening, seeing the pace Stuart Broad bowled. I know he bowled a bit wide, he didn't make him play. But the pace and zip, the ball was whistling through. This morning, it's gone, hasn't it? He's like in second gear, he can't get out of it.
He was particularly disappointed. He's back into the attack now, and it was that in that first session, though, you really thought things could happen at any moment, but there was heavy cloud cover in there after.
And I'm not saying he's not trying. I know what it's like. You try, but it just some days isn't there, batting or bowling.
Well, he's got an interesting short mid-on in, and his first ball gets a thick outside edge, and it squirts past the diving, fourth slip or gully, if you like, down towards third man for 2 more. Takes Kraigg Brathwaite to 96. He's on the verge of 100. He's batted 182 balls. He's looked good to me. I saw him against Essex in the tour match, and I know you can't tell a great deal. You got second 11 basically bowlers against him, but of all the West Indians, he looked to have the tightest technique. He played the ball.
He deserves 100. I know that doesn't always happen. So all I'd say, I hope he just waits for the ball rather than tries to go after one. Just wait. You've got the bowlers. You've won the afternoon session. You battled in the morning, but you've won it easily this afternoon. Now just wait for the right ball.
Good first ball from Broad. Here's his second, and that's covering up in defence and played straight back to that short mid-on. I've been sent a card and what I think are biscuits. It's a lovely card. It says, help yourself. We got loads of cake today, haven't we? An amazing number of cakes. But this card says, thank you so much for 60 years of TMS. It's been wonderful! Exclamation mark. Thank you so much to Henry Blofeld. I'm sure we haven't heard the last of you. I'm sure we haven't. In fact, I'm certain of that.
He won't. He's at Lord's, isn't he?
That's right. Yes, it is. Exactly. Absolutely. Broad is in. He's got one slip and a gully in to Brathwaite, who punches off the back foot, but straight to short extra cover. There's no run. I'm here with my family, including Megan, 7 years old, Hannah, 11, my granddaughters. Both play for Scholes Cricket Club.
Oh, yes, in Leeds.
Hannah's a spin bowler for West Yorkshire. Well, women, I'll tell you, the women are doing very well this year. We can certainly recommend women's cricket. There'll be a bit of that at tea time as well. Here's to many more years of the pleasure you bring. Enjoy the shortbread. Pam Curtis and I'm not quite sure. That might be Delph. Next delivery beats.
Wow,
that is a beauty. Beats Brathwaite. That's the length you want him to bowl, isn't it, Jeffrey? It was full. And Brathwaite didn't know how to play. Didn't know whether to come forward to it, stay on the crease. He needed to come forward to it.
It goes away from him like a leg cutter, but it's full, isn't it?
Yep. And it's what you were demanding before lunch. Yep. But this is the thing with Broad, though, isn't it? You know, he can suddenly,
he's a mercurial
with a ball,
bowler.
He is mercurial.
He's had magic spells, hasn't he, for England, where he's bowled people out.
Oval 2009.
It is mercurial. It just happens, and you don't know how or why. Probably the bowler doesn't know why.
He's in again now, and that's too wide of the off stump, left alone.
I mean, I say to people, some people asked me at lunch about Broad's one. I said, look, I told you what he said. He wasn't there. Then I won for the rhythm wasn't there. I said, you can't say he isn't trying. He's trying like hell, but it's just like sometimes as a batsman, you try like hell and you just can't time it. You can't hit it properly.
I sometimes wonder if with taller bowlers, you've got less of a margin for error, actually.
Oh, get out, because you're tall too.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. How tall are you?
You're making excuses, you think? He's in now. Bowls on the pads. That's worked up to wide mid-on. About 6'2" and a bit.
Yeah, I thought that's why you were saying it.
Well, if you're 5'11", it's easy, you see.
Yeah, well, you're not kidding me.
Well, I tried.
You did.
183 for 3 at the end of the 64th over. But, you know, with Broad, he can snap back in as quickly as he snaps back out.
Well, I hope so, because England, certainly England supporters, I hope so, because they need to do something. They're really under the cosh at the minute. They've had 2 batsmen, particularly West Indies, who really grafted hard. Proper test match cricket and have won the battle. But if they're really honest, and you have to be as a person, put your hand up, hang on, this hasn't been our best collective bowling day. Is that fair? Not Jimmy Anderson bowls super, but I mean, even Woakes, I haven't mentioned Woakes, I know he entered a little bowling, but he swung it from the arm. You could see it all the way. You got lots of time.
Too wide as well. I mean, they weren't planning to play at it as such. And same was true with Stokes. I mean, he bowled a couple of loose overs, didn't he? As Moeen Ali is back in the attack. Oh, he's driven to mid-off, and that ball took a horrible bounce off the outfield. It was very well stopped in the end. Kept his eye on the ball. Was that Joe Root out there?
Yeah.
Yes, Joe Root out at
Bounced up at him.
mid-off. He did well. So just got that little kick off the turf. And as Moeen's in again, and that's covering up in defences. Shai Hope.
They're playing him, the off-spinner, like the South African did. They're getting right outside off stump.
Yeah.
Amla.
Here's Moeen Ali again, and that's cut.
Oh, that's too wide,
Too short,
you see.
too wide. It's walloped away through backward point for 4. Takes Hope into the 70s. He has 72. The West Indies, 187 for 3. They're only 71 behind now.
150 partnership of 264 balls. It's the first time in 23 Test matches that the West Indies have had a partnership over 150.
I was going to ask that. In 23 Test matches.
Port Elizabeth in 2014 was the last time. It was Kraigg Brathwaite and Marlon Samuels.
It's not been lucky, I can tell you. It's not luck. It's been real skill and determination, mental toughness to knuckle down and not play airy-fairy shots.
Moeen Ali in again. Forward in defence comes Hope, plays it back to the square on the offside. And Jeffrey, in that first session, that was a great example, wasn't it, of sticking in when it was tough. It was really, those were tough conditions, and there were moments where it looked like a wicket could fall every time. It's
exactly what Headingley's been like for years.
Moeen Ali wants small bowls. Oh, and that's hit straight and firmly at short leg. It would have been a wonderful catch, but it went really firmly. He's only, we'd say, 3 yards away
I think he
from
saved
the batsman.
2 runs.
Yeah, it smashed into his
chest or something.
Stoneman there. It's gone into his, around about the waist height. And it's
You're
very,
lucky
very
if he
rare.
catches them. It's one in a...
You've got to close your
catch.
legs instantly, haven't you, and hope, but it doesn't happen. James Taylor maybe, but there's not many would have got that. Firmly, straight off the face of the mat. Next delivery, Hope is coming forward and driving nicely. A good diving stop by Joe Root, saves at least a run. They've come through for a single. He's quite wide and quite deep at mid-off, but he pounced on that like a cat on a mouse. And that is the end of the over, 188 for 3.
And the other thing, you never want to catch a blinder at bat and pad because you'll be there forever. You'll never get out, will you? Oh, he's good there. All the bowlers voting for you. You're in. You'll never get out.
James Taylor had that problem, didn't he? He took that wonder catch. Was it off Amla again? Was it the second time we were discussing Amla in the last 2 minutes? He took that wonderful catch in South Africa.
Oh, yeah. Nobody I don't think even the ones that field well there.
Did you have to go there when you were young? Did you ever?
Yeah. When I first went to the Yorkshire side.
Then
no, my friend Tony Nicholson bowled an outswinger, full toss leg stump, and I still don't know which ear it went past. No helmets, nothing. I still don't. He said, sorry. I said, sorry? I was really in Boot Hill. I'm going. Yeah. He said, no, you'll be all right there. I said, no, I won't. I'm going to square leg. That's it. Finished. If he's going to bowl full toss outswingers on leg stump while you've got a short leg.
Yeah, it's not a happy place to be,
No,
is
not.
It? Broad in, bowls a full ball that's defended by Hope into the offside. Brathwaite's off strike now. We're moving towards tea. We'll get at least 2 overs, but it might only be 2. And
see how they defended there, though. They defended a lot of balls well with commitment, forward defensive, bat and pad together. We didn't see any of that at Edgbaston, or rare. They were airy-fairy, bat away from the pad, chest on, weren't they? Turn round, square on, chest on, rather than sideways. They've made a proper effort to play proper cricket, and it's working for them.
Well, maybe that experience is the thing. I mean, when you come out of a shocker like that, you've got only one way to go, haven't you? Broad bowls a full ball again,
terrific
perfectly.
Forward defensive.
Perfectly defended.
I always say to people, you can't make good comments about bad cricket, can you? How can you? You're not being true to the listeners, you're not being true to yourself. You see bad cricket, what are you supposed to say?
Absolutely.
You can't. It's an impossibility.
I mean, I know Stuart Law got a little bit upset, didn't he, with some of the comments by Curtly Ambrose, but
what he saw was the same as us, just because he's a West Indian.
Here's Stuart Broad in, slip in a gully, and that's edged through a vacant third slip. And I don't know if it would have carried that third slip. I'd like to see that again. I think it went along the ground, really, but Stokes has got his head in his hands. The ball's flown away down to the boundary for 4 more, and these are runs England can ill afford to concede.
Problem caused, though, because it was full. He was on the front foot.
Yeah.
And if they'd have done that more often earlier, when the ball is harder, newer, bowlers are fresher, batsmen haven't got in.
The clouds were
over. I could go on and on about this. If and but don't count. You didn't bowl well enough when you had a better chance. The sun's out now, 2 batsmen in, ball's got older, harder.
And they're going along at a decent rate. I mean, it's not as if there was a period when they were squeezed for about 5 or 6 overs recently, but they've released the shackles again. One thing to look at, though, is Brathwaite moving up to his ton around about tee as Broad bowls a full ball, which is worked up to wide mid-on where Moeen Ali does the fielding. No run. I'm thinking here, England are going to get in, another over and a... Well, there's 5 minutes to go till tea. They might only have to bowl another 8 balls. Now, one Brathwaite sat in the pavilion at tea on 96, 97, 98.
England supporters will soon have him out having his tea.
Indeed, yes.
But Broad's bowling better now. Better rhythm, better speed. Last ball's 85 mile an hour, which is his speed. 84, 85. He bowled a lot of balls at 79, 80 this morning. You could see he was like running up through chocolate.
Stable door has been bolted. Second slip is in, and the next ball is driven firmly straight down the ground. That's a super shot from Hope. It takes him into the 80s, moves to 81. There was a very firm, very straight drive. Broad put out a hand, couldn't get anything on it, and it's run up to the boundary for 4. He will lose more gruntle with that, I can tell you. Andrew.
Yeah, there was actually 11 over spell from the end of the 49th over to the 60th over where the West Indies only scored 10 runs.
Wow.
But they've got, 31 in the last, 34, sorry, in the last 6 since then.
So they've released the shackles again, and they're only 62 runs behind. They've got 7 wickets in hand, and don't forget that one of the wickets they've lost was the night watchman as well. So Broad in, 2 sips in a gully, that's clipped away, moved across his pads. For a moment I thought he'd be in danger of being LBW, but he's got enough bat on that, worked it down to long leg for a single end of the over. It means that Hope will keep the strike, which may not please Brathwaite too much. 197 for 3. We've got 4 minutes till tea. I wonder if England will slow this down a bit now. Ooh, we've got to change the bowler here. Is Captain bringing himself on? He's the one bowler we haven't seen in Root yet.
It's not Root.
Who is that? Is that Malan? It'll be Malan with some leggies before tea, do you think?
Leg spinners?
Well,
prep school. Prep school leg spin.
It's a bit...
Guy in 90 odd to getting his 100.
It's a bit Michael Atherton, of course. Michael Atherton started by bowling quite a bit, didn't he, when he first came into the team? Did he end up with an average of 282?
Yeah, that's about right for his bowling.
One for 282, I think he got, was it? Am I right?
He got 2 in the end for about 150 each.
Oh, that's a shame.
Oh, the second 150, yeah, he was a good occasional bowler, wasn't he, for the opposition, definitely.
Second one ruined it for me. Oh, no, hang on, it isn't Malan, it's going to be Westley. Who's an occasional off break as opposed to the occasional leg break.
One of the best occasional bowlers I see was Michael Vaughan getting Tendulkar out at Nottingham, was it?
Oh,
remember in the 90s. Look that up, Andrew. That was a good ball and all. It turned.
Yeah.
It turned. It was a proper delivery, not a sort of long up hit down somebody's throat. That was a really good ball.
So here we go. Tom Westley. Is this going to be his major contribution to the match as the next ball's driven back to him and there's no run? We've got about 2.5 minutes to go till tea, so this will probably be the last over. After this ball, Andrew will come to you. Here's Westley again off about 4 paces. Back into his crease goes Hope, he just tickles this round the corner. He'll get at least one. They should come back for a second. They do. I think Brathwaite's eyeing this up, thinking, I want to get on strike to Westley, don't I?
Get
on 96. Single. But Hope's got the strike. He's moved to 84, Andrew.
Yeah, Vaughan bowled Michael Tendulkar. Let's get that right. He bowled Sachin Tendulkar at Trent Bridge for 92 in 2002.
Here's Westley again. He's got a short leg in. Oh, and that's come off the inside half of the bat. It's worked out into the onside where Moeen Ali does the fielding. And the 200 is up for the West Indies. Hope
well
to
played.
85.
Terrifically well played.
200 for 3.
Is he going to slog him for 4 over the top?
Just before tea?
96.
Well, where can he go, Jeffrey? We've got mid-off.
Straight over mid-on.
Mid-on is back a touch, but about halfway back as Wesley's in and covering up in defence is Brathwaite. Works into the onside, no run. We've got A deep cover point, short extra, short leg, a slip, a mid-wicket that's close and straight, and a mid-wicket that's deep and wide.
Don't give it away, lad, now. You've played super. Don't give it away.
Here's Westley. Down the wicket he comes. He's hit it high over the top. 6. And that is, he's had his 100 with a 6. It is. What a fabulous innings from Kraigg Brathwaite. He moves to 102. It's been super stuff from the opener. After the horrors of Edgbaston, they needed someone to dig in. It's his 600 in his 39th test, the second time he's done it against England, and it's been a really fabulous knock in what has been at times very, very awkward conditions. He had to come out to bat last night for a very tricky hour in gloomy conditions. It's a very tough first session this morning. He's cashed in now and he's gone to his 100 with a 6. What a superb shot.
I told you he was going over the top.
It is, over not on.
Thoroughly earned was that. Beautifully constructed as well as a proper opening batsman. Stay in when it's tough. Don't play anything you don't have to. Stay back on here when they allow you to stay back because it's easier to play. And then in the afternoon he's blossomed.
Andrew.
189 balls, 13 fours, 2 sixes.
Wesley into him again, and he just defends firmly on the front foot. I love the way he did that, though, Jeffrey. He's looking at it and saying there's 3 balls left. Yeah. Well, 4 balls when he came in first, wasn't he? Defend the first one, have a look.
Well, look.
Whack over the top.
If he's hit Ali, which is the main bowler, and good bowler, over the top twice, he can hit the occasional spin. He's bound to be confident to do that.
Now, we're waiting to see if it's tea or not, and the clock has just turned over to 3:40, so the players will go off for tea. Brathwaite got to his 100 in the last over before tea, and the West Indies, having started the day on 19 for 1, go into tea at 206 for 3. They've just lost Devendra Bishoo and Kyle Hope today, both wickets to James Anderson, who picked up one yesterday as well. He's got all 3 wickets. In truth, England have been a bit disappointed with the ball, especially in the post-lunch session. Before lunch, they created a lot of chances. It just didn't quite happen for them, but in this session, 28 overs in this session, 97 runs have been scored, no wickets have gone down, and Jeffrey, it's been great batting from the Windies.
Oh, they've outplayed England this afternoon. Terrific performance by both batsmen. They scored at 3.5 runs and over, you know. Not been just poking around, they played so well this morning that they just look 2 different players today. The determination, the technique is there, the discipline, more than not, the discipline of what to play at and what not to play. And yes, you've said it right. I've said about the England bowling, it could have been better on a lot of issues, but full credit to them. They put the team right on top of England. England have got some serious thinking to do at tea because what they've dished up so far this afternoon, except for Anderson, wasn't very good.
Well, Jeffrey, thanks ever so much. We're going to let you go, and just to let you know, the score at the moment, 206 for 3. James Anderson, the only man to have taken any wickets for England, 3 for 30. His bowling figures. Kraigg Brathwaite is 102 not out. Shai Hope is 85 not out. Earlier, Kyle Hope went for 3, and before him, Devendra Bishoo for a single. Kieran Powell was out last night for 5. It's a very strange-looking scorecard with 102 at the top, 5, 1, 3, and 85 not out. No other England bowler has prospered. Broad, none for 54 in 14. Woakes, none for 40 in 11. Stokes, none for 24 in 12. Moeen Ali, none for 41 in 11. And just the 1 over from Tom Westley, not Dawid Malan, which has slightly surprised me. If you're going to do a last over, a little bit of filthy other spin, you might have tried the leg spinner, I don't know. But Kraigg Brathwaite didn't mind. Anyway, it's tea time.